Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
Rakuten is the smartest way to save money when you shop because you earn cash back at over 3,500 stores. Fashion, beauty, electronics, home essentials, travel, dining, concert tickets, and more. Your favorite stores like Lowe's, Levi's, and Nike pay Rakuten to send them shoppers. And Rakuten then passes on a part of that payment to its members as cash back. You're already shopping at your favorite stores. Why not save while you're doing it? It's a no-brainer. Membership is free and easy to sign up. Get the Rakuten app now and join the 17 million members who are already saving. Cashback rates change daily. See Rakuten.com for details. That's Rakuten. Your cashback really adds up.
Your weekly dose of romance and drama has arrived. Season 29 of The Bachelor is here, and Grant Ellis, certified hottie and former day trader, is trading his day job on Wall Street for a second chance at everlasting love. New episodes drop every Monday at 8/7 Central, bringing you fresh twists in Grant's journey to find his soulmate. This self-proclaimed mama's boy is all grown up and ready to invest his heart. Will his playful charm win over the house full of hopefuls, or will the competition prove too intense? From heartfelt moments to adrenaline-pumping dates, each week brings new surprises in the mansion. Will Grant find his perfect match or end up with a broken heart? Tune in every Monday at 8/7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu for new episodes of The Bachelor.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you for joining us on another crazy edition of Crime and Sports. And you know that we want to do this. You know that we love this show.
It's the only thing we love doing.
Yes, because if you could see me right now, you can hear me. I don't sound right, obviously.
No.
I'm very, very ill, but I have a sinus on my face that's blown up, too. I look like I've been beaten up by fucking Muhammad Ali. Like, I look like...
It looks like you're
Blood Green
smuggling...
right now.
It looks like you're smuggling the gobstopper that Willy Wonka said don't eat. You're like, I don't have it. I'm not eating it.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's what's going on. I look as bad as I feel.
It's unbelievable.
Jimmy's like, we can't do this. And I'm like, we're going to fucking do this, goddammit. He's like, let's do it.
All right, let's give it a run.
I appreciate Jimmie trying to shield me, though. That was very nice there. So we have a wild episode, though. We could not do it, goddammit. So very quickly, just want to say shutupandgivememurder.com is where you get all the stuff, merchandise, everything like that. Tickets for Small Town Murder live shows are going on sale this week, or if you're listening to this when it comes out regularly, last week, they'd be out. So find those and come hang out with us. Come see us at the show. You definitely want Patreon, patreon.com/crime and sports. All your bonus material. Anybody $5 a month or above, you get hundreds of back bonus episodes. New ones every other week. One Crime and Sports, one Small Town Murder. This week, little different because it's Christmas when these come out.
What is it?
It's coming out Christmas weekend, so we're only doing one because we have families and children, and we'd like to see them. So, people coming from out of town and stuff like that. So we got a lot going on. But we're going to do this, and it's going to be very fun. We're going to talk about The Garden, that documentary on Max right now. It's like a 7-part thing of these people who live in the woods, and it's like half commune, half survivalist militia, part fucking... I don't know what the fuck it is, man. But
part diet plan?
Part diet plan, but it's all the politics of these hippies arguing with each other. It's a crazy goddamn thing, and it's one of those, is this a cult? What's happening? And so we'll talk all about it.
People hear about it and come from miles
around. Yeah, they don't. Wow. It's weird stuff, and people come and they go, and people come for a 10-day trial, and we'll talk all about it. That's patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all of that, and you'll get a shout out at the end of the show for doing that. Jimmy will mispronounce your name. He wants it right, but what do you want from the guy? He's trying his best here.
Great.
That said, let's do this. Let's get right into this here with our guy. This guy, very little sports on this one.
Okay.
Very little sports because you'll see why. But This is one of the strangest stories ever told here. I don't know how much crime there is. There's a ton of crime, but actual arrests are few and far between because it's weird. Okay, Luther A. Wright Jr., of course. Obviously.
Luther Wright.
Luther Wright. I don't know if you remember him. He only played he paid Jazz.
Magic?
Jazz.
Oh, Jazz.
Played for less than a season in the NBA, this guy, and was supposed to be a big deal. First-round draft pick. He's 7'2", so...
I'm positive I had his card.
Oh, probably, 94, I believe it would have been.
Yeah.
Known as Big Lou. Very creative.
Big Lou.
Here. He's born September 22nd, 1971 in Jersey City, New Jersey, which is right across from New York City. It's where you look across it, kind of downtown there. 7'2", 270 pounds, just a gigantic mass of humanity. And for what he gets into later, you're like, this is the weirdest. If you saw this person on the street, you'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? What's happening right now? It's crazy. I don't want to spoil it, but holy shit. He's a McDonald's high school All-American. He's, all that kind of shit. He does a lot here. We'll talk about it. His mother's name is May, as in Mae West. And his father is Luther Sr., obviously, because he's got to be a junior, this guy.
Sure.
They got divorced. His parents got divorced around 81 when he was about 10 years old.
Oh.
And, it doesn't seem like he had the most stable upbringing, judging on kind of what happened to him repeatedly, too.
In Jersey City in the 80s?
Yeah, 70s and 80s. Yeah, shit could go awry there pretty bad.
Oh, boy.
He's got a brother named Reggie. He's got a sister named Michelle. Both of them are younger than him.
Okay.
None of them are as big either, which is...
Really?
Yeah. So I guess it'd be weird to have like two normal kids and then a 7'2" kid as like the kid who's bigger than all the other kids when he's in like the second grade. That'd be weird.
Yeah, and Reggie's pissed.
Yeah, Jesus, how come I didn't get this? Now, he's very into music, as we'll find out.
Is that right?
Super into music. He likes to DJ. He likes to hear shit. In his book, he talks about the music he likes, and he was saying how he just, first time like in the 80s, when he was like, in college or whatever, first time he heard certain things, he was like, wow. One of them was C.C. Peniston, Finally. Remember that song? He said,
finally, it's happened to me right in front of my face.
Yeah, that's the one.
Right in front of my face.
Finally.
Yeah, it was in front of your face. Of course you can't deny it.
Yeah. It's right there.
Who has shit happen right in front of their face and they still deny it?
Still missing it. Well, that's why you write a song about it, because that's a pretty... You should do that, because it's rare that happens.
That song opened his eyes to a whole new world.
That, and this is even better. Of course, obviously, I'm going to close with the better one here. That's an opener. The other one was the club mix of Black Betty. Blew his mind.
The spider tracks or whatever it was?
Black Betty, that shit. In a club mix. Yeah, they did a club mix of that in the 80s. Whoa, Black Betty, family. And he was like, oh, man, blew his brain that you could do that.
I can't believe this.
Mixing the things together. He was like, oh, fuck, man, DJing is where it's at.
Wow.
Loved it. So he teaches himself how to play instruments when he's a kid. Basically, any instrument he can find around somewhere, he'll
self-learning.
Teach himself how to play. Drums, guitar, bass, anything. Like, he's just really into music.
Yeah.
But it's weird that you don't see a lot of 7'2" rock stars is the problem.
No. I mean, Wayman Tisdale was laughed at for it.
That's what I mean. Like, Sebastian Bach was like, that's the tallest rock star anybody's ever seen. He's 6'4", but it was like,
that's
holy shit, look at this fucking giant. It's too much. You got to be like 5'4", like Ronnie Dio to be a...
Well, you're already on a stage.
That's
if
the
you're
problem.
7'4", 7'2", that's so intimidating.
It's what I mean. That's every time, like when we were doing comedy at first, the first few years, like you talk to your friends about, oh, you're doing comedy, that's cool. And they go, anybody ever heckle you? And it's like, bro, I'm 6'4" on a stage. I'm like 8'7". No, they don't. They shut the fuck, and I'm loud. They shut the fuck up pretty much. No, I remember that.
Even David Spade, who's not a big guy, when he's on stage, he's in charge, man.
Yeah, people's feet are head are at your feet. So you're like, listen, motherfuckers.
That's where you praise, motherfucker.
Yeah. So, but he's into that. He sang in church gospel groups and all that kind of shit.
Okay.
He's also speaks very softly because I guess because he's a giant guy, and this is
gentle giant.
We talk about this a lot when we talk about giant guys. Is that when you're a kid and you're that much bigger than everybody else, everybody tells you to be gentle and take it easy on the kids that are smaller than you. That's why a lot of times those kids don't have that killer instinct. You get like a Dwight Howard who's, you know, obviously has all the talent in the world, but doesn't really, he's not exactly Iverson when it comes to drive, you know what I mean? So, but then a small guy, they teach you got to get everything you can. You scrap for it. You fucking so it's a different attitude.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It's a different attitude that they teach big guys how to be calm, be cool, don't, you know.
Yeah, Dwight Howard comes on the court with a big smile.
Yes.
And then Allen Iverson comes on the court with swagger and snarl.
Because you gotta. Because otherwise he's going to get fucking killed out there. He's 6'1", you know, whereas you're 7 feet tall.
Interesting.
Yeah, everybody will tell you, be nice. Even when you're playing ball with kids your own age at that time, they tell you, fucking be nice. Don't block everybody's shot every time. They, you know, you feel like you have to be nice. So he gets arrested as a kid here for shoplifting.
Luther.
And apparently somebody put him up to it, he said. Somebody, an older kid, told him to do it. Like, hey, go in there and get that for me. So pretty much he said if anybody older than him asked him to do something, he would do it as a kid. He just didn't know.
That's respect for your elders.
Yeah, he didn't know any better.
2 years older.
He loved Benny Hill. That's what he loved.
I think he just loves a catchy tune.
He loves a catchy too. Black Betty, finally, Benny Hill. Maybe this guy just, he's into a tune.
He just loves a catchy beat. I just can't get enough of that.
That's into it. He's like, what if I mix Benny Hill and Black Betty together? What if I have
God.
Black Benny? Oh, Black Benny. And then
Black Benny.
It's a different song completely.
Finally, Black Benny.
With sax in the background.
Mix them all together.
Yeah, let's do it. Finally, it's Black Benny. Oh, man. So his grandmother says, this is from his book. He wrote a book in 2010. He said a bunch of stuff and someone else wrote it down and then wrote a book, we'll say. I don't think he didn't sit at a typewriter doing this.
No?
No, there's somebody else he told and then they put it into a story for him.
Fantastic.
He said, my grandmother had these rules and they applied to everyone. We had to eat at a certain time. You couldn't watch TV when you wanted and you couldn't watch what you wanted to watch. Her rules are everyone's miserable here.
Everyone does what I say.
You hungry? Well, not now. We're going to eat another time.
Yeah, you're not.
Waiting for Benny Hill to go? Come on. Well, tough shit. It's not TV time now. He said, I'd want to watch Benny Hill, but she wasn't having it.
Really?
She would have us watching some Western or Dallas or one of her soap operas or The $6 Million Man and Wonder Woman.
Well, those aren't too bad.
No, she for the 70s, she liked hour-long dramas, and he's like, I want to see people run around smacking each other on the head while funny music plays. What the hell are we doing? She said that I'd be in the middle of watching Popeye or Woody Woodpecker, and here she'd come. Boy, turn to Channel 7, my soaps are on. Which is fucking hilarious. Shit. He said, I'd have to turn to All My Children or One Life to Live or General Hospital. I got real acquainted with the Luke and Laura saga of the early 80s.
Yeah.
Which I had to do, too, because I had this fight with my aunt, not my grandmother.
Oh, okay.
My aunt was 9 years older than me, or still is. She's 9 years older than me. So
she was. I caught her.
She is, yeah. No, now we're the same age. She's still alive. I made it sound like she wasn't with us anymore. Lisa's very much with us. You've met her before. Very nice. Yeah. She, when I was a little kid, she convinced my grandparents to get, the minimal cable so she could get MTV, right?
Okay.
And
cable, sure.
It's like 3:00 in the afternoon. Tom and Jerry was on, and I wanted to watch Tom and Jerry because I was 3. I was, 3 years old.
Because that's what you do.
She was into Luke and Laura and fucking General Hospital, so we'd fight like fucking maniacs over the TV because I wanted Tom and Jerry. And my grandfather would come in and yell at us both. And then she'd get to watch General Hospital.
If there was a fucking TiVo, we could both be happy.
Or more than one TV would have been happy also. My grandparents were cheap. They had the one TV.
Kids don't know how good they have it with how fucking affordable TVs are now.
Oh, man.
You can buy a brand new TV for $100. It's crazy.
Seriously, look at prices from look at a catalog from 1982.
Yeah. Look at a Finger Hut.
The prices, the TVs cost the same as they do now. Not adjusted for inflation, the same fucking amount. A TV's $500. It was $500 back then, except it was 19 inches.
Yeah.
Weighed
and
fucking 60 pounds. Yeah. No shit. It was heavy and shitty. But that, for inflation, that shit was like, $4,000 for a crappy TV.
That's a paycheck.
Yeah.
Like that's incredible how much that is.
A TV used to be like the biggest purchase in the world. Before cheap flat screens, we sound like we're 100 now, but I'm talking in the 90s this was
this
even.
Is literally 25 years ago.
It was like the biggest, like you get oh shit, we got a new TV. It was wild. You'd be wanting to watch. What a football game's going to look awesome on this. It's 27-inch fucking Zenith, and you're like, yeah, I can't wait.
My parents got one of those projector big screens that had the 3 bulbs in it, and one of the bulbs went out, and we couldn't afford to repair the TV, so we were watching TV with a blue and a red,
it's
I think.
Fucked up color.
Whatever the fucking
blue, red, yellow, I
think
it was.
Yeah, there you go. Blue, red, yellow, yep.
Yeah, because my aunt had one of those.
One of them went back, and then you're watching a fucking orange and green or orange and blue, whatever it was.
It looks like there's too much light in the room, too.
Yeah. Can't see shit.
Oh, I remember having, all growing up till I was like 12 probably, I had like 13-inch black and white TV in my room. That's what I had. That was my fucking, and I played Nintendo on it and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're playing fucking Street Fighter on black and white TV, and you're like, I don't even know what these characters are supposed to be.
I don't even know who they are, but man, this is fun.
Can't tell their region, their ethnicity, nothing. It's just a black and a white guy.
That's all, I guess. Let's fight him. He's the black one, he's the white one.
And we couldn't fix the TV because that TV cost $1,800 to buy.
Back then.
And we hadn't even paid it off yet.
That's what I mean. Back then, which
we're
again,
missing a bulb already.
Now would be like a $7,000 TV. Now you're a bulb down and you're still fucking paying it off.
I don't know what to do. I gotta watch this.
Oh my God. So he said, one show I did appreciate my grandmother making us watch was Roots. At first I was like, oh, come on, to myself, of course, because his grandmother beat the shit out of him. But
say that out loud.
As I watched the miniseries, it changed the way I looked at a lot of things. Roots definitely added something to my life. Roots is very interesting. That's why,
great.
When it first aired, too, it was a fucking huge, phenomenon.
It's a big deal, yeah.
Now, he is abused as a child pretty bad.
How so?
In every way possible.
Really?
Yes. His father beats the living shit out of him. Parents are pretty emotionally abusive, at least his dad is. The neighborhood kids bully him, even though because he's huge. Yeah. They bully him for being huge, which is really weird. But he also has
safety in numbers.
He also has like shit clothes, and he's a big guy with like clothes that don't fit him right and stuff like that. So that's why he's getting made fun of and getting treated like Dookie pretty much. I don't mean like shit. I mean like the character Dookie from The Wire.
And Dookie was bigger than everybody else.
This is the tale of Dookie, honestly. This is like if Dookie was 7'2", this would be his tale because at some point he's going to be outdoors now, and it's wild.
Poor Dookie.
Poor Dookie. Also, he is sexually molested as well by multiple people.
What?
Yeah, that affects him as well. And, let him talk about it here. Quote, this is from his book. My parents were a happy couple during the early parts of my growing up. A lot of laughter and partying went on in my home, and they always seemed to be going somewhere together. That's nice. A good relationship. My dad was a gospel singer. That explains the music and being into it.
Church.
Yep, he had one of those old-style booming gospel voices, and he would get booked to sing a lot at events and do church concerts on the weekends. My mom would be right there by his side. Okay, so they had stuff, but they're not in the house a lot. That's the problem, so they need babysitters.
So leaving the kids with people.
Yep, he said they had different relatives babysit me while they went out. One of my relatives, I'll call him Paul, so not his real name,
that's not his name,
was about 16 when he first babysat me. I was 4 or 5. I was excited to have him babysit me because Paul was cool and I felt like a big man hanging out with my older relative. That was before I was left alone with him. Yeah. That first night, before he put me to bed, everything changed. Paul said we were going to play this game. I like to play games.
Shit. Not these games.
Not these. But the game, quote unquote, he wanted me to play was not fun. It involved his touching me and his making me touch him and do things to him that back then I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew it was wrong.
Oh, my God.
I started crying. He told me to shut up and that if I told anyone, he would kill me. I believed him.
That's what they do.
Yeah, that's a molester, all right. This sounds... Paul was my babysitter for a few years.
Oh, dear Jesus.
So he was just left alone with this fucking sick fuck for years.
Oh, my God.
I used to be happy to see my parents go out and have fun, but now I knew that meant Paul would be coming over to watch me and my stomach would drop.
Yep.
Yeah, I used to talk to myself and tell myself that it wasn't so bad, that it was okay. I mean, it had to be okay because it kept happening. I thought maybe this was normal. This is the Menendez thing. the Menendez brothers, if you don't know, that Eric, when he was a child, was going around asking his other relatives, is it normal for your dad to massage your penis? Is that normal? Does your dad do that too? They were like, what the fuck are you talking about? No.
Horrible conversation, buddy.
And then later on, they were like, the prosecution tried to say that they didn't get molested. It's like, how many 8-year-olds go around asking, is it normal for your dad to massage your penis? I've never asked that. That's not
Kids don't generally know what massage your penis means.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking ridiculous. So, that's horrible. So,
poor thing.
He said, I thought maybe this was normal. When I used to stay at my grandmother's in the projects before we actually moved there, I had another relative, an older male, who played the same game with me. I wonder if Paul got that from this one. See,
yeah. Maybe they've been around each other a long time.
Molestation can roll downhill and snowball.
Sure does.
And that's the thing here. So, he was rougher, and it took it a little further than Paul.
God damn it!
Jesus, he used to hurt me and beat me. Jesus, this is fucking harrowing. Again, he told me not to tell or else.
I'd really love to know how and why it is so prevalent in lower income neighborhoods and families. I'm sure it has something to do with nobody gives a fuck. But it probably it's deeper
it's just
than that.
Proximity.
Yeah,
it's just proximity. The more people live in your house, the more chances are your house. It's just you and Emily and your kids there. There's no one there to molest them. You know what I mean?
I also know that
if you had 12 cousins there, the odds go way up.
Yeah, but even in I know it happens in well-to-do families as well, but it's not near as prevalent as it is in low-income housing and neighborhoods. And it's so fucked how many people that are underprivileged are just fucking violated so frequently.
When you're a kid and you don't have shit, you don't think about things the same way. You think that you're supposed to. A certain amount of hardship is normal for you, whereas I don't know. I feel like a rich kid is much more likely to complain about anything.
Sure. Also a rich dad or a rich uncle probably don't. They got too much. They're too busy earning money.
Yeah,
they don't have time to touch kids.
That's another fuck, and that's we're saying that as a basic shit. Obviously, rich kids get molested as well.
Yes,
but it is more likely the more people that are in your house, the more likely your kid is to get molested. It's just odds. It's just numbers.
It's just math.
It's just a numbers game, That's all there is to it.
Play numbers games with your own asshole.
With your own butthole, man. Come on. It's a numbers game, brother. I get it. It's a profit deal. He said again, it's a profit deal. I get it. And again, I must thank my cousin Ian, by the way, because he is about 9 years older than me. And one time, a few years ago, we were hanging out, and he said, he does the research for Crime and Sports now. Yeah. He said, because we're watching something and somebody got molested, and he goes, whole time growing up, he goes, I was with you all the time around you, never even thought of molesting you. I go, thank you very much. Thank you. Because never even thought of it.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
He said, thought never crossed my mind to fucking molest you.
I never knew I could destroy your life.
And I was like, I appreciate that. He was nice to me. We played wiffle ball and shit, like video games.
You should probably thank me more often,
Never touched me. It was awesome. And that's when I used to have the joke in stand-up where I'd be like, everybody wants to confront their accusers. How about thanking the people who didn't molest you? Remember that uncle that took you camping and you came home with your butthole intact? Doesn't get a fucking thank you? He could have fucking ruined your life right then.
Could have destroyed everything.
Yeah.
Every time you smell stink bait, you think about your loose butthole.
Every time you smell power bait, there it is.
What is that, the pink one? Oh, no.
Oh, no, Jesus. Not the yellow with the sparkles in it. Fuck.
The flashbacks.
Oh, man. He said, I never told a soul what was going on. I wish I could have told my mother. I really do. I could talk to my moms about almost anything, but this one thing I just couldn't tell. By the time I had the courage to tell, I thought telling her would say something more about me. I mean, I allowed it to go on for so long, for so many years without saying anything. Maybe she would think that I like it.
Oh, God, it's so fucked up.
Maybe she would think that it was my fault. This is a horrible thing for a kid to think here. By the way,
now he's got an internal struggle that's going on.
How'd you like to be the molester guy? Obviously, neither of us want to be a molester, but you molested this kid and threatened him, I'm going to beat you, and then he grows up to be 7'2", 270 pounds. He could rip your arms off and beat you with them. You're like, holy shit, I molested the wrong kid. Fuck.
You got to make good on those threats that you made 25 years ago.
Oof, that's a lot. He said, maybe I was sending them a signal, telling them that they could do that to me at 4. That's what happens. This is what you're damaging a kid's psyche when you do this to them because this is what they think. At first, I didn't want to tell because I was scared, but then I didn't want to tell because I was afraid I might be looked at as being gay. Being
so
the late 70s in Jersey City, yeah. I knew that I wasn't gay, but I didn't want that to even be out there like that, and I didn't think anyone would believe me. I was known as a liar growing up. I don't know why, but that was because I was lying for my mother all the time. She would tell me to tell my father lies about what I needed, clothes, school supplies, whatever, so she could get more money from him. This was after
Jesus Christ.
After they got a divorce.
How many ways can he be manipulated?
That's what I mean. Adults are just manipulating this kid left and right. It's sad. And then he's going to go to the NBA, which is the ultimate manipulation.
Right.
It's like,
he's going to be manipulated by everybody.
College sport. The NCAA is like that's an uncle with an itchy trigger finger, an itchy diddle finger. That's the NCAA right there. Totally. It's the best form of non-sexual molestation possible. Holy shit. He said, when they separated, my mother would send me to my father, when I wasn't staying with him, in old bummy clothes or beat-down sneakers, knowing he would give me money to buy new clothes or shoes. The funny thing was, he knew her tricks. One time he pulled me aside and said, tell your mother if she needs something, she can just ask. Tell her to stop with the games.
Attaboy, he sees through it.
Yeah, that's what the father said. He said he was no dummy. He also hated when we would only call when we needed something. He told me you could call and say hello sometime. I got the message and I started calling him just to say hello. Hey, Pops, I just wanted to hear your voice, I would say, and we would end up talking for 2 hours. That was cool. That's nice.
My heart.
Right? That's nice.
I would give anything for my kids to do that. They call me and say, Dad, will you Uber Eats me something?
Yeah.
No,
I'm hungry and I'm too lazy to make ramen.
Why don't you call me and tell me you love me once in a while? No, God damn it.
Too lazy for Hot Pockets. Order me shit. Oh, man. He said, but I still couldn't talk to him about what was happening with me. Mm-hmm. Jesus, many things I couldn't tell him ever. The other side of my pops was scary. He wasn't a talker. He was no nonsense. He was a screamer. When I got in trouble, it wasn't about no timeouts. I would get whoopings or screamed on. Glass would shatter when he yelled. He had a voice. He's a singer. Yeah. Usually the screaming came with whooping. They went hand in hand. I never had to figure out if I was going to get a beating. I would wonder what he was going to beat me with, a belt, a switch, or something worse.
Yeah. And had he not done those things to him, like in corporal punishment, just vicious beatings like that, perhaps if he exhibited that behavior elsewhere in life, Junior would know that Senior's a no-nonsense, take-no-shit guy. And when this does happen to him, he could have come to see... I got a feeling Paul would have had a bloody fucking face.
Yeah,
if
it sounds
Junior
like
told Dad what was happening.
It sounds like Dad would put some ass whoopings on people for this. Doesn't sound like Dad takes a lot of shit, so he probably should have told Dad. But
because he got hit, he's afraid that if he tells Dad, he's going to think he's lying,
and he's going to think that he doesn't want Dad to think that he was asking for it.
Right,
which is sad. That's very sad.
Even worse
because a 4-year-old obviously can't ask for shit when it comes to sexuality.
They don't know
That's
that.
Crazy.
They don't know what that is.
That's insane. He said, one day I thought he was going to beat me to death. I was in the 6th grade at Public School 24 in Jersey City. I got suspended probably for fighting, but my father had enough of my getting in trouble. He worked at the bus company cleaning buses. He brought home one of the hoses he used to rinse down the buses.
Oh, my God.
That wasn't your average garden hose. This was one of those thick, dark green industrial hoses.
They're so heavy.
When my dad got home, he had something for me. That hose. He beat me everywhere with it, including over my head. Every time he hit me, I saw stars. I almost blacked out twice. I had lumps all over my head. My mother had to keep me out of school for 2 days after that beating.
He didn't cut the metal tip off of it.
That's horrible, dude. He's beating his son with an industrial hose.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer. I can really show you how to make some money. And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
This is a tough childhood, man.
Yeah, man.
He said he wasn't the affectionate type. I think I got maybe 2 hugs from my pops my whole life. Maybe it was more, I don't remember, but at least I have one of those hugs on film. After our first win over St. Anthony at home at the Dunn Sports Center in Elizabeth, my pops gave me a big bear hug. I still have the footage. Oh, this guy is excited because he's got a hug with his dad on camera. And he probably, I could just picture him watching it over and over, like, there we go, he's hugging me. Wow. I know he did the best he knew how to do, but he was the last person I was going to talk to about being molested by my family members. My mother I didn't tell for a different reason. I didn't want to burden her because I could see she was already going through some stuff. Yeah. Jesus, I was trying to protect her. She had so much other drama going on in her life at the time, and I didn't want to add to it. I figured I could handle it. Things started going south with her and my dad around the time I was being regularly molested. Then there's more. A female family member molested me when I was 9.
Get out of here.
And this happens sometimes, too. I've noticed this when kids are way bigger than normal.
Yeah.
Sometimes they end up getting molested because I don't know if the molester thinks that it's like okay because they're the same size as someone their age, which their brain isn't developed, obviously, and you can't. Right. But that seems to happen a lot to these big athlete guys.
Even if he's a big 9-year-old, you can't equate a 9-year-old with a 25-year-old.
Fuck no. No, but that seems to happen a lot you'll hear this a lot from like big giant football players and stuff like that they were big and like older.
Because they could fit it, yeah.
Older women would come on to them and molest them at young ages because I don't know. So yeah, a female family member molested me when I was 9. She was in high school. See what I mean? And she also used to babysit me. When she did, she would bathe me, and we started playing doctor. Oh, again, I knew it was wrong. I knew it felt funny to be doing these things, but it was better than what my male cousins were doing to me. He's like, geez, this is great compared to that. She wasn't rough the way they were. She wasn't hitting or beating me the way they were. It didn't feel as bad. Yeah.
She was being nice.
Yeah. 2 years from then, the kid would have been fucking doing backflips and go, holy shit, this fucking chick touched me, even though it's still not inappropriate.
I can super see this. As a 9-year-old, if he's a big 9-year-old, he probably looks like he's 15. And if she's 15, she can equate that.
He said,
he looks like the guys that I go to high school with.
When he was 9, he wore size 9 shoes. When he was 10, he wore size 10 shoes.
For sure.
That's that's bigger than your shoes now. Yep. You know,
absolutely.
As an adult.
Yeah.
So
I grew to a big giant 8.
Yeah. So he said it was still wrong. It was still molestation. It was still rape. And I could see, and I still couldn't tell anybody. So it was something I kept inside until nearly 20 years later when I met my wife and was able to let it all go. Wow. Until then, my only savior was basketball. On the courts, I wasn't being molested or teased. I wasn't weird or a freak. I wasn't too big. My feet weren't too big. My clothes weren't out of style, and I wasn't out of place. Same uniform as everybody else and can play.
Yep.
So that's a lot of kids find this in sports. They do, because it's
they're not even equal at that point. I'm better than them at this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So his family moves around a lot in Jersey City before he's 12. Always they're from projects to projects. Maybe they can get a 3-bedroom or a 2-bedroom. He said it was always in bad neighborhoods. He said, sure, it was dangerous, but that's what it was. It's just what it was back then. He said, in addition to that, I had trouble on the streets. After moving from my parents' home cross town to my grandmother's apartment in the projects, I became a target. There were bullies and clowns in school and the hooligans and thugs in the neighborhood. I used to get robbed coming home from school. I had a little crew I would walk home with, but the numbers would thin out a couple blocks from my home as people, came to their houses. I would find myself walking alone by the time I made it to my block, a perfect target. The first time, these thugs looking for money roughed me up. The next time, they knew I didn't have any money, so they took my shoes. Jesus. Yeah.
He doesn't have another pair of those.
No,
guys.
he's poor. Gee, that's horrible. He said, I went through some shit growing up living in Jersey City. Jersey Shitty. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll leave that in there. Fine. And I went through most of it by myself. Looking back, I wish I had said something to somebody. I wish I would have told, because I know my mother would have left me, not left me alone with him or anyone else. So, yeah. He said I was 6'8" in 8th grade.
Wow.
That's insane, man. And people
What?
He said people would chase him through the neighborhood. And I was like, how the hell is this big guy running from these people? That's what a friend of his said. Like, what? This guy's fucking enormous. He's got to run away. So his friend, Jerry Walker, who's a future college teammate, convinced him that if he just stopped running and yelled at these people, they would leave him alone because he's fucking enormous. They don't want to fight you. You're huge. Like,
Forrest Gump ran because he's the size of Tom Hanks.
Yeah, he weighs
huge.
a $160. That's why he's running. You are a monster. He said that worked for the bullies, but the other shit, he turned to drugs pretty early on. He said after school he would help his parents sell snacks from the family food truck, hot dogs, watermelon, cookies. But the boys in the neighborhood, like his friend Jerry Walker, who he'd play college with, told him to come play basketball. So he's a 6'8" 8th grader, led his grade school team to an undefeated season, and he ends up going to St. Anthony High School, which was a big powerhouse in Jersey City, coached by Bob Hurley Sr.
Is that right?
Yeah, Bobby Hurley's dad. Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely. He's a famous coach.
I didn't know Bobby's dad was a coach.
Oh, fuck yeah. Hurley's a coach's kid. Absolutely.
That makes sense why Hurley's a coach and a coach's coach.
Yeah, exactly. He said he lasted only a year, though, because he flunked out of the school because it's got crazy academics. Have you ever seen Hoop Dreams?
Yeah.
It's very hard to take someone who's been in a shit school that doesn't do they don't do a lot of work and don't do the good curriculums, and then take him and put him in a completely different environment and expect him just to know how to do it.
Right.
It's difficult. So
where he gets his own book to highlight and learn, and he's not going to do it. He doesn't know how.
That's exactly. Yeah. Well, Hurley said about him, this is Dad, if he was 6'5", I doubt he would have ever played basketball. He wasn't mentally tough, and he didn't push himself the way the other players did.
But he had those 3 extra inches, and boy, was that was helpful.
And dude, as a coach, isn't it your job to fucking get that out of somebody?
Yeah, that's certainly your job. If they don't have it, put it in them.
Yeah, especially a child. I could see an NBA. Once in the NBA, when you get the guys, that's who you're getting.
You are what you are. Yeah.
That's why you do research and make sure you got the right personalities. Fucking when a kid is 12 or 14, your job is to mold them. Your job is to show them a work ethic and how to do it and what to do.
Dennis Rodman only did it for 1 year.
Yeah.
and he became Dennis fucking Rodman.
Yep. But I guess at the same time, if someone isn't going to do it, you can't force them because...
That's the other part. Work ethic matters.
He said he was a physical specimen, but he only liked basketball. He never loved it. That's what Hurley said. Anytime there was a problem, he wasn't going to fight because you only fight for things you love. Okay.
Huh.
And again, this is... teaching bigger kids to be a little more gentle, I think, has something to do with that. Meanwhile, Bobby Hurley's fucking 6 foot and he's supposed to run through walls. So, so he goes to Elizabeth High. used a cousin's address and enrolled at Elizabeth High School, which was another big powerhouse. And he led his team to victory in the state's Tournament of Champions. He scored 28 points, grabbed 9 rebounds, and he loved it. He said he loved Elizabeth High. He finally found a spot. He said, quote, "I was the Obama of Elizabeth High."
What?
People liked him, apparently. Wow.
I think
what a weird way to put it.
That is the hyperbole. Holy shit.
Wow. This was the first time in my life that I loved going to school. It was definitely something I could get up, something to get up in the morning and be excited about. Can you imagine that? The fun was happening even before I picked up a ball for the school. He just liked it. He said I hung out with the popular crowd. He said we had the cafeteria on lock. Everyone wanted to sit in our section, but you had to have a pass to sit with us. It wasn't a physical pass. It was an unspoken pass. You needed to be on the football team, the baseball team, the basketball team, or you needed to be popular. So it's funny how you go from ostracized to immediately ostracizing others, by the way. Isn't that funny how that works? As soon as you're accepted into something, you're like...
As soon as you have the power, boy, are you using it for bad.
Start cutting people off. Wow. That is fucking amazing. He said, I also hung out with the big-time drug dealers in high school because they always had cars and money and the hookup. They used to take me to clubs in New York and we would party all weekend. I didn't realize how much danger I was putting myself in at the time. I was a kid having fun, and I got all the free weed I wanted. Well, that would have been wonderful as a teenager, yeah.
No doubt.
I was in high school when I really started smoking. I had my first drink of alcohol when I was at St. Anthony at a party at the local boys' club. They were passing a bottle in a paper bag. The bottle got...
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally, he's having a normal childhood.
Something normal. Yeah, paper bag, playing ball, hanging out, worrying about lunch tables. This is normal.
Passing a joint? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, the bottle got passed to me, and I hesitated. And one of his friends said, "If you don't drink this, Lou B., you can't hang with us." Word, I said, and took the bottle and took a swig. It was real nasty. I started coughing and making faces. "What's that?" I asked. Everybody fell out laughing. It was Boone's Farm or Mad Dog 2020 or something like that. Just nasty.
It's not even... Yeah, it tastes gross, but it's not even that fucking
It's not even that
shit.
Yeah, you might as well get... At least liquor was potent. But we used to drink that shit too, though. We used to drink Mad Dog. I mean, it was gross, but we drank it.
It's awful, but it's not as strong as like fucking 10 high or some shit like that. It's fine.
Yeah.
It might be. Is it 90 proof?
I don't know. No.
I don't. Is it?
No, Mad Dog isn't that much.
2020. I think the 20 has something to do with it. It might be 40
Maybe.
proof.
Maybe they're saying you'll have 20/20 vision after you're shit-faced.
Mad Dog will ruin your 2020.
He said it tasted nothing like the pink champagne my mother used to drink. Yeah.
The what?
Ugh, the champagne, that shit. Awful.
What the fuck is that?
Cheap, like, wine champagne crap that people used to drink in the 80s. Awful.
Pour it into your mop bucket and drink it out of the
pretty
pail.
Much, yeah. You can mop with it, too. It's nice. It cleans well. It smells weird, but it really...
Really shine up that wood floor.
Yeah, it'll take things off of the floor that don't need to be there.
The tannins take the imperfections out.
It's pretty cool. He said, I used to sneak sips from her cup during the house parties she would throw from time to time. I was 8 years old and thought I was doing something. She left her cup on the table and left the room for something. I sneaked over and took her cup and took a sip. It was both sweet and bitter going down, and it made my entire chest warm. I felt like a grown-up. I felt even better because I didn't get caught. But that hard, cheap liquor they were drinking at this boys' club party wasn't for me. I never took to drinking much. I only drank when I was at a party and everybody else was drinking. People would buy me drinks would buy drinks for me later on after I was a pro, and even after I left the league. Later, when I became a heavy drug user, I would only drink when I ran out of drugs or couldn't get drugs.
What kind of drugs?
Liquor was my last drug of choice, but it would do in a pinch to take the edge off when I needed it. Oh, you'll find out. He's into everything.
How do you go from? We'll get there, but I don't see how you get from weed and alcohol to hard fucking illicit drugs.
He's got mental problems that he never deals with.
He's running from
essentially. Yeah. When you find out what he does, you're just like, wow, this is. I mean, he needs help. At Elizabeth High, I discovered weed, and that became my thing until basketball season started. Basketball changed everything. While I was popular and the man before basketball season even started, when the season did start, it was nuts. Elizabeth High had never seen anything like me, and I had never seen anything like it. The number of students showing up for our games made it feel like as if we were playing for the Knicks in Madison Square Garden.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. His coach at Elizabeth said, "You look back at Luther and think about what he could have accomplished and never did. But in some ways, it doesn't surprise me because other people wanted Luther to be more successful in basketball than Luther wanted it."
Okay.
He just used it because when he did that, people were nice to him. That's why he was playing basketball. He didn't love basketball. He loved music. He didn't love basketball.
He loved attention.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you know why he loved attention, James? Because he never got it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
He's getting it on his terms now, which this is his whole life so far is such a psychological experiment.
Oh,
I want to know everything.
It gets so much crazier. Yeah, that's the thing. It's you can see it all forming though, and putting it all together here. So he ends up later on. He's going to go to Seton Hall, basically.
Really?
Yes. Now he said he was playing basketball. He's playing basketball because he wants to help his family get out of the projects. That's what he keeps saying.
There you go. Yeah.
So. Yeah, he ends up going to Seton Hall where P.J. Carlissimo was the coach.
Hell yeah.
Who is he's a certain type of guy, a yeller and a screamer. You know, a guy will choke you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Luttrell, he's the guy that got choked. So, I mean,
right.
he's not exactly the most beloved coach ever.
No.
Here. But Seton Hall was a good program and it was close, so why not? He was recruited by dozens of colleges, though. He was amazing. But he didn't want to have to move away from his mom, so he went to Seton Hall.
Oh.
So his closest friend from childhood, Walker, that we talked about, he also was going there, and there was a bunch of other players he knew because they recruited a lot from the Northeast. So he's like, I played.
Great.
So he knew some guys, and also Carlissimo had led Seton Hall to the NCAA final in 1989. So this was the next year. So he thought he was going to be a part of like this dynasty, you know?
Yeah. Was PJ the coach of the Trailblazers that were really pieces of shit?
I don't think he was.
I wonder if he was the one that was there.
I don't think so. I don't know why, but I don't think he was.
Maybe a portion of it?
Possibly. I don't remember him coaching there. I don't know. I thought
you don't remember playing? He was the Trailblazers?
Yeah, I don't remember when, though.
I don't know.
I don't remember when exactly. That's a tough one.
I feel like it was then.
The mid-'90s, maybe.
Maybe.
Because this would drive you from college here, having this guy frustrating you.
Yeah.
He said, and this is what Carlissimo said, he was he was the one with the most pure talent of anyone we ever recruited. Pure talent. Pure talent.
Now he's a pure talent.
7'2", he moves well. I mean, as a basketball player, if you could put Allen Iverson's brain in his fucking head, he would have been Bill Russell. You know what I mean? Like, he had all the tools for it. He just didn't have the motor for it, I guess. Yeah. Here's an article from July 7th, 1991, and it said the headline is on the right track. You know, Luther Wright,
WR
from the Daily News in New York. I mean, yeah, Seton Hall big man undergoes big change. He said, this is funny. Luther Wright never wanted to be 7 feet 2 inches tall. He never liked the attention, the stares, the whispers. His one wish was to be able to walk down a crowded street and be anonymous. That's what he said.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Oh, man. He said that I guess he gets recruited. He was ineligible to play his freshman year of Seton Hall because of grades. So he ballooned up to 350 pounds.
Wow.
Turned into Shaq. And he said, this past year was like my party year. I wanted to hang out with my friends and girlfriends. I wasn't really into school. I had a hard time keeping up with my busy schedule. I had this 8 a.m. class that was hard to make, and my grades were bad. I just didn't care. My fall semester was pretty frustrating for everyone here, is what his fall semester. This is Seton Hall academic advisor. He put school on the back burner. No question he would not have been eligible to play if he didn't turn it around. But apparently he did.
Imagine that.
Came back from Christmas break down to about 295. And they said the transformation was startling. We always knew he was more than capable of doing the work. That's why it was so frustrating. But for him to do what he did was just amazing. We were still asking him what happened. So he ended up with a B average in school, too, that year. Great. So he's doing great. He said also he's going to try out for the U.S. team in the World University Games. He said he's definitely ready and ready to roll, man. He said Yeah, a scout for the NBA said, I think it's still early to start comparing him to players like Shaquille O'Neal. This was when Shaq was still in college.
Yeah.
He said he hasn't played a down of college ball yet, but if he continues to work like I hear he has been, he could definitely play in the NBA. In high school, he averaged 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 blocks in his senior year, leading his team to a state championship over St. Anthony, the team that he left.
There's the hug.
Yep, that's the hug there. And November 19th, 1991, from Newsday, Long Island, The Right Stuff.
Oh, my.
Yeah. They said among the scores of college recruiters who came to New Jersey lusting after Luther Wright. Oh, Jesus. 2 of them made the most telling mistake of all. They represented Villanova and Kentucky, as Luther's mom recalls it, and they told her boy it was time to grow up. Grow up and get out of the house. Stop being a mama's boy.
Okay.
Yeah, so they said that was a fucking mistake because he wanted to be a mama's boy.
That.
Yeah. Mary said, this is his mom, or May, his mom, said, I had to grow up fast. I had to cook for myself at an early age, clean house at an early age. Thank God we didn't have a lot of the burglaries and problems we have now, because I would have just come home from school, locked the door, and wait for my mother to come home. So she said now she wants him to have a better time. She wants him to experience a good childhood, she said, which it's kind of late for that now, I would say, but that's what she's saying. PJ Carlissimo said some people seem to think he's going to be a Kareem or a Wilt Chamberlain from day one. I really don't want to count on him to be that good real quick. So
I don't like when they do that.
It's tough for a fucking.
I get how easy it is to start comparing such a young person to something like that and having some hype behind them and some hope for like what they're gonna create when they're in the league, but for Christ's sake, give them a chance to at least develop and turn into something, whether it be Kareem.
Yeah, Kareem. Leading scorer when he retired.
One of the greatest of any sport of all time.
Wilt. I mean, Wilt was the biggest physical force that's ever played basketball.
Dominating. Yeah. And that's what you're just expecting from this kid?
That's crazy.
I hate when they do that so much.
That's too much, yeah. She talks about, this is very interesting. She talks about how he was 11 pounds, 7 ounces at birth, Luther.
Fuck, that's a big kid.
She's 5'10" and a half, his mom.
Oh, wow.
One of the great-grandfathers, one of his parents' grandparents, was 7'4".
There it is.
Can you imagine that in fucking 1925? Some 7'4", maybe it was probably. I'm surprised he wasn't in the circus, for Christ's sake.
There's a kid that's like 7'7" and like 12 or 14, and when he runs down the court, James, it's scary looking.
Yeah,
it doesn't even.
It's so weird.
It doesn't even look normal.
Jesus,
I can't imagine at 25 seeing that.
Now listen to this, and this is a lot of what I'm talking about. Why maybe he doesn't have the fire? They said in the 4th grade when they tried to put him in special education, May came to the school. And she said, quote, the teacher told me that Luther was intimidating the other children. See what I mean? He can't help that he's that much bigger than them. So you're telling these kids, you're making them take it down a notch, take it down. And then you're going to college and you go, dominate, fucking go out there and do that. They're not used to that. They don't know how to do that. The teacher told me that Luther was intimidating the other children. I said, I don't think you're trying to teach him. I think you're afraid of him because of his size, but it's your job to teach him. So, yeah. Then also... This is fucking amazing. When he was in high school, Elizabeth, she got word from them that he was skipping classes during his senior year. So she went to school and walked him from class to class for 2 weeks.
Oh, that feels comfortable.
That is fucking amazing. Yeah, that's fucking hilarious. I'm dying loud. Imagine her just, nope, let's go, Luther, biology. She would quiz his potential girlfriends. She would fucking sit them down. Do you have any children? Do you smoke? Do you drink?
Oh, boy. Are you sexually active?
What do you do? When he was 17 years old, his mother spanked him. He was 7'2", 275. Quote, she told Luther, get down on the floor and lie still while I whip you.
I need you to lay flat.
I need you to lay flat. You're huge.
I got to jump to smack your ass.
Oh, my God. That is fucking amazing. So that's just some funny stuff. So 91-92 Seton Hall. They're 23-9. Pretty good. This team here, decent team. It looks like Luther doesn't play a lot, 4.8 points and 2.8 rebounds. It's his sophomore year, but that's his first year playing. not too bad, though. Like I said, he's a high school parade All-American, all that kind of shit. It's 92-93 Seton Hall, 28-7. And again, this year, 9 points, 7.5 rebounds. So, doing okay here, not too bad. You can't complain. I don't know. Like, it's weird how they work people into systems, too. I mean, they might be bringing him in slowly, you know what I'm saying? So he, I guess at this point, he needs another year because he's got 2 more years of eligibility here.
Right.
So he really needs another year. But the problem is he decides that he wants to go to the NBA.
Got to get that family out of the projects, man.
Got to do it now. By the way, when his friend Walker, who was on the team, asked him, what would you have done if nobody forced you into basketball? He said, DJing, doing my music. Oh. I would have never thought about basketball, which is interesting. He ignored the advice of all of his coaches and advisors and people he'd been talking to, saying, definitely don't go into the NBA draft this year. You're not ready yet. They said that. This is a friend of his said he wasn't ready, period. That was that. Yeah. But why would you go pro then? 9 points a game.
Shit. You got to get him out.
Quote, here's from his book. He explains it. I never thought about wearing condoms and all of that, I'm embarrassed to say.
Get the fuck out of here. You had babies?
The girls were pretty, and I felt it was their responsibility to take care of all that. I couldn't imagine a young girl trying to get pregnant. How naive was I?
Ooh. What the fuck?
My junior year at Seton Hall, the young lady I was dealing with, that's a way to say going out with, dealing with. What a weird fucking way to put that, right? Holy shit. What a fucking...
I already know what that relationship's like.
Yeah, he's dealing with her. Wow. Whom I met at Club Zanzibar in Newark told me she was pregnant. I said, okay, I have to go pro.
Wow.
That was definitely one of the factors in my decision. I might have stayed at Seton Hall if I had not been hit with that. I was growing tired of the whole college thing, and I was dreaming about the money and the freedom anyway. But with a baby coming, my decision was made easier. The baby coming and my mother's health and the numerous distractions put me in pro mode. I felt that if I made a couple extra dollars, everything would be fine.
Sure.
Yeah. He said, I was actually excited about becoming a father, especially to have a son. He said, I was happy because I would be able to take care of the kids. I was all in. I was buying baby clothes. I was on campus, and she was at home.
Okay.
When the time came, she called me and told me she was heading to the hospital. Her water had broken. My mom and I went to the hospital in New Brunswick, New Jersey. We were both in the room when the baby came. When the baby came out, I said, oh, shit, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. My mother elbowed me and told me to chill out. It was a boy.
Oh, shit, look at that.
Oh, shit, look at that. It's got a dick. Isn't that nice? Wow. After the baby came, things took a turn for the worse for me and my girlfriend. Things started to be revealed that I hadn't noticed before.
Listen to what life ain't easy?
Listen to what he hadn't noticed before about the woman.
Oh,
this is about the woman. He has been dating her enough to date her, get her pregnant, and then be with her for 9 months of pregnancy.
Yeah.
Okay. While we were dating, she seemed to have a lot of kids around. I thought she was babysitting these kids. She told me they were her sister's kids. After the doctor delivered my son, I remember the doctor saying to her, I don't want to see you here like this anymore. You've had enough. You've had enough. The doctor cut her off, bro, like she had too many vodka Red Bulls at the fucking bar.
Look, I'm tired of seeing your pussy.
Yeah, listen. The next kid's going to fucking walk out. He's going to stroll out, for Christ's sake.
Holy, look, these are getting far too easy.
He's going to ride a four-wheeler out of there, and you're like 21 years old. This is crazy.
I'm running out of stitches, lady.
Wow, you've had enough. That is fucking remarkable.
Holy shit, I don't want to see you like this anymore.
Wow. That's awesome. So the 93 draft is one of the most fun drafts in NBA history. I remember this as a kid being just blown away by this fucking draft because there was all the trading and all these big, huge players. Chris Webber, number 1 overall.
Really?
To Orlando. Remember that? Yeah. And then Sean Bradley went second to Philly, the Storm and Mormon there. Then Penny Hardaway went to Golden State, number 3, and then the Golden State and they flip-flopped and did all that. Jamal Mashburn, number 4.
Hell yeah, to the Mavericks.
Isaiah Ryder, a definite alumni of Crime and Sports. Calbert Chaney, Bobby Hurley.
Yeah. Did he go to the Kings?
He went to Sacramento, out of Duke. Vin Baker, Rodney Rogers, Lindsey Hunter. These are guys that were in the league forever, all of them. Allen Houston.
Hunter? Was he with the
Pistons? Pistons for a long time, yeah. Allen Houston was around forever. George Lynch, Terry DeHare, who was on his Seton Hall team. So finally, number 18 overall, Utah selects Luther Wright as
18th overall.
Overall. So that is going to get you some money.
In 93, when Utah was top 3 or 4 in the West. Yeah, they were giant.
They picked him ahead of Sam Cassell, who went 24th to Houston. And how many rings did he end up having?
Holy.
That's what I mean. He did very well for himself here. So, George Mirasan was in that draft, too, number 30 overall. I forgot about George Mirasan.
Bullets?
Yeah, Bullets, most of the time for him. So they drafted him in the first round, 18th pick. They signed him to a 5-year, $5 million contract.
What the fuck?
Not bad. I'm going to say grace right now.
That's fantastic.
He parlayed 9 points a game in the Big East division of college into millions of dollars.
He just got $5 million.
That is wild. Yeah. He says, this is Luther, everyone always wanted me to become a star. Then as soon as I went pro and got the contract, it was like they all had their tongues out and couldn't wait to get their piece.
Yep.
Absolutely. So he goes to Utah. Utah was good back then, 53-29 they were in 93, 94. Yeah. This
kid coming from Jersey City to Salt Lake.
I can't.
Wow.
As a person who's from the East Coast and from New York, like the culture shock to Utah, when we go there for a fucking day, my head is spinning. I feel like I am not. I feel like I've went to another planet. It's just a different place. So to say you're going to live here now
changes your day. Holy shit.
I'm going to live here now. Where do I get a sandwich in this fucking joint? No way. So Utah that year, they beat the Spurs in the first round of the playoffs, then beat the Nuggets in a 7-game series, and then lost in the Western Conference Finals to Houston, who eventually went on to win the whole thing. So they beat the Knicks with John Starks with his stupid fucking 19 three-pointers. Anyway, this is a team that's got Stockton, Malone, Tom Chambers went here. This is after he left. After he left Phoenix. A bunch of guys. Brian Russell, Felton Spencer. It's that team, the 90s Utah team. Wright, with his money, bought himself a 27-room mansion.
Get the fuck out of here.
Come on, man.
27. I get. Look,
that's
invest
a big house.
In real estate, fine, but 27 rooms in Salt Lake. How are you going to flip that if you need to sell that?
You're going to have to sell it to someone with 5 wives. I wonder if the Brown family's in fucking in the market for a house there from the sister wives, because that's what they had, something like that.
Or you're going to have to sell it to whoever takes your spot on the Jazz when you're out, because
how about a house?
That's the only people that are going to buy this.
No shit. And he moved his mother, his sister, his brother, all of them to Utah.
God, into his own house.
Yeah, rather than, it's not a don't go home. He just brought home to Utah.
Right.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
And then he got mad that everyone would just hang around the house all day while he went to practice and earn the money. What the fuck do you think was going to happen?
Why would what motivation do they have to go do anything?
That's what I mean. And he said that he continued to get high and didn't do shit to stay in shape, and he just didn't care. He said also when they drafted him, he couldn't pick Utah out on the map. He had no fucking idea where it was even. No clue.
Unbelievable.
Spent his whole life in the city, in Jersey City.
West of Pennsylvania, I haven't got a clue.
No idea. No fucking clue. His autobiography, by the way, is called A Perfect Fit. There, I forgot to mention the name of it. He said in the book here that he'd befriended a Mexican drug dealer who would deliver a package of weed to his Salt Lake City mansion. And, he said this was great. He had a massive in-ground pool and all this type of shit. And he said the guy would bring him a bunch of weed once a week. Now,
$5 million goes away so fast.
So fast. You're buying 27-room mansions? Jesus.
God.
Now, the ladies. Luther likes the ladies, as
all bet
most 22-year-old guys who are out there, probably do. He says in his book, quote, "I was never a suave dude, smooth with the ladies, but I did all right. Yeah, you're 7'2" and famous. Of course you do okay, especially in Utah. You're going to stand out."
But how are you going to? You can't bring them home. You got a family.
Oh, I guess to your wing, I suppose. Mom, stay in your wing. He said, "I always had a girlfriend or two or three, but I was far from a player, especially compared to some of my boys in the NBA." Jesus, those guys have like a
2 or 3 is a lot.
That's still a lot, but those guys have a girl in every city. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
He said, "A lot of my teammates and friends in the NBA had their pick of the groupie litter. There was plenty to pick from. It would not be unusual to show up at a hotel and have ladies waiting in the lobby, in the bar, in the restaurant, even in the hallways of our room floors."
Oh, that'd be amazing.
That's incredible. I didn't, for a young guy like that, you're like, oh my God, young unattached dude. I didn't have any groupies at Seton Hall. There weren't girlies waiting around the locker room or the dorms. We had our fans, but nothing like what I saw when I got to the NBA. Yeah, because you don't have any money in college. That's the difference. Yeah. He said, when we had one away game in Oakland against Golden State, my first week in the league. When we came to the hotel, a bunch of women were in the lobby. They had an Ebony fashion show in the lobby, Ebony magazine there, at the hotel too. I didn't think anything of it. But then I noticed a difference in the women. You could clearly tell who was a professional model there for the fashion show and who was there for us.
Sure.
Yeah. He said the Bullets, now the Wizards, in D.C. had the best groupies. And, of course, La La Land, Los Angeles. New York and Atlanta had theirs, too, of course. But D.C. and L.A. stood out. The ladies there were all fly and all tens in just about every market we went to. But in D.C. and L.A., they had a certain air. They were more sophisticated and seemed to know exactly what they wanted.
There's also
the
best escorts in the country.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. He said, "I wasn't into the groupie lifestyle. I was into having one lady. I had a girlfriend who lived in Philadelphia. She was my main lady. I moved her out to Utah with me, and when I moved back to Jersey, I stayed with her. We met at a Greek picnic in South Jersey and just hit it off. What a weird...
What?
Talk about a strange Mad Lib. Where did 7'2" Luther Wright meet his girlfriend? Greek picnic in South Jersey.
Who knew that there was a Greek picnic?
Right? She was beautiful, had long hair, and a laid-back personality. She got pregnant while we were living together in Philly. I was excited about having a baby until the baby actually came. We had a little girl. Oh, she wasn't excited about that.
This is baby 2.
This is baby 2. Yeah, he already talked about baby 1.
Jesus.
She was beautiful and I loved her, but the whole fatherhood, husband responsibility thing was getting to be too much.
Father of a girl.
Of a girl. I promised to marry her. I told her we were engaged, but I never broke down and got the ring. She had settled into this routine with me. Pam, not her real name, in parentheses, worked at a print shop where she did silk screens. I used to drop off the baby at daycare, then drop Pam off at work so I could have the car for the day until it was time to pick up Pam and the baby. This went on for about 8 months. One day, we dropped the baby off at daycare, then I dropped Pam off at work. I hopped on I-95 North and never looked back. He just didn't pick anybody up. He just left.
What the fuck?
I never called. I never wrote. I never saw her after that. He just left her.
What about the baby, Lou?
Just ghosted the babies at daycare. Fuck them. Fend for yourself, baby. That's wild. I've never heard of that shit. He just
didn't
left.
even say I'm going to go get cigarettes or coffee or,
he said,
or
see you soon.
Ice cream. Just dipped.
See you after your shift. She called like crazy, but I didn't return her calls. No shit, she called like crazy. Where the fuck are you? I'm in the parking lot, for Christ's sake.
I need to get my baby.
This is
our
wild.
baby.
Wow. Why did I walk out on her and my baby like that? It's the place where I was at the time is all I can give it as an explanation. I was foul. I was smoking a lot of weed and just didn't care about anyone but myself.
Have you ever, James?
I've been smoking weed. I never was like, fuck it. Fuck my kids. Leave them at daycare. That never happened.
How dare he blame weed for that?
That is not a weed problem.
No.
Maybe you don't feel like doing it, but you still do it.
You gotta.
That's wow.
I'm going to earn a fat joint when these two go to bed
That's
tonight.
What it is. And then you take
that
weed feels better afterwards.
Right.
After I'm done driving my children around, I'm going to smoke afterwards, and it's going to feel great because they drove me nuts and I was sober that whole time.
I'm going to smoke.
Wow.
I'd rather not see them. That's a different level. That's not a pothead. That's not pothead behavior. He's not a pothead.
That is crackhead behavior, and we'll talk all about that. He said, I have no excuse. I had a drug problem. I could blame it on that, but I think more was going on. He's got mental problems we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Pam was on me all of the time about smoking weed. She was right. But again, being hard-headed, I didn't want to hear from anybody telling me anything. Why are you tripping? I would constantly tell her. I got this. Why are you tripping? What's wrong with you? So there's a new woman here that he finds.
Sure.
The woman I moved in with in Newark was into going to church. I would go to church with her from time to time. One day I didn't want to go. One Sunday I didn't want to go. She left me in the house. When I moved in with her, I had my stuff packed in big green garbage bags. He bought a 27-room mansion but no suitcases. That's amazing. Wow.
27-room mansion and a pallet of green trash bags.
Pallet of those. So she's at church. He said, I took those same garbage bags and I packed my clothes. I locked her door and left her a note. Quote, I can't do this no more. I'm going back home. And I walked to my mom's house.
What the fuck is going...
He just ghosts, dude. He's the original ghoster. He's just fucking beast.
Attachment issues for sure.
Oh, big time. Big time. The woman called me. She talked me into coming back. I moved back in with her for a couple weeks. Then I left her for good.
Yeah.
I even got married during this period. For a month.
Hey.
For a month. A month. I don't think he gets what that's about. I had no concept of marriage, and it was all a big game for me. I knew Sheila, not her real name. Oh, that means he's done bad things to her and doesn't want to put her name out there.
Yeah.
I knew Sheila wanted to get married, and I wanted to stay with her, so I gave her what she wanted. But it wasn't what I wanted, and the whole marriage wasn't real to me. Wow. The day before we got married, we were in my mother's Cadillac in Livingston and ended up on JFK Boulevard near the Short Hills Mall. My mother got pulled over. Her car wasn't registered and she didn't have any insurance. I hadn't taken care of my business the way I should have. I bought people nice things but didn't cross my T's and dot my I's.
Right.
Yeah, you got to do all that. My mother got locked up. He got his mother arrested.
He got his mom thrown in jail.
I'd feel horrible. My future wife came and bailed her out. I appreciated her for being there for us like that and wanted to make our relationship work. So then he says, this one time she came back from her, because this girl would take off on him all the time and go to her parents' house. He said she came back from her runaway to her parents. I had just come back from powdering my nose. Doing coke. Yeah. When I came in the door, she was coming up the stairs. She said something like, where you been? I said I was out with my boys. She started getting in my face. I grabbed her and she fell down the stairs.
I
pushed her down the stairs.
Yeah.
That's what that says.
I threw her down the stairs.
I knocked my wife down the stairs. That's not...
I grabbed her and she fell.
She fell. If you grabbed her, she wouldn't have fell.
Right.
That's the thing.
Those don't go together.
Wow. She got up, left, and I haven't seen her since. That was 1997.
Oh, my God.
Just took off, never came back. I tried to get in touch with her, or I never tried to get in touch with her, and I never filed for a formal divorce. Come to find out, I was so high I never filed the proper papers to be married in the first place, so I wasn't legally married.
Holy shit.
Otherwise, he'd still be married to this fucking woman now, probably. This is crazy.
Unbelievable.
He said at night there were the parties. I always found out where the hot spots were. My first week there, I went to a corner liquor store and said to someone standing around, yo, where's the weed at? When you're from the hood, you always know where to go and whom to ask. I wasn't going to ask any of my teammates because I didn't know them like that, and I wasn't asking a Mormon priest. I knew where to go, and I got my answer. Where's the worst neighborhood you got in Salt Lake City? That's where I'm going.
Where's the weed at?
He said I was hooked up with my drug connection from day one. That wasn't good because I was smoking just about every day. I thought I was slick. I thought I was doing a good job of hiding it until things started to unravel. As I think back, a lot of the bad decisions I made could definitely have to do with my smoking too much weed. But I was in such a haze, both from the weed and the huge shift in my life from moving to Utah, that I wasn't seeing things clearly. I enjoyed rookie camp. I got to play. I thought I was doing my thing. Initially, I was adjusting well. I found a place in downtown Salt Lake City on the 23rd floor in a condominium overlooking the city, a penthouse that had great views. It was 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. I shared my bachelor's pad with my stepbrother until I decided to move the rest of my family to Utah. Yeah, I would say. He said this was definitely different from the dorms at Seton Hall or the hotels I was used to staying in. This was my place. I owned this. I told Sal this is where I wanted to live and that that week I had the keys and a deed. The place had a jacuzzi on the roof. Jesus. I didn't spend much time in it, but it was nice flossing. So nice to have. He said it was nice saying it was mine. Yeah.
He certainly knows how to show where he's from. Do you know? Like you get the idea of how he grew up just based on how he talks and how he expresses himself.
You can tell. Yeah, you can totally hear it. He said that feeling of being on top of the world, having it all left me once the real season started. Once I got with the whole team in the Utah Jazz system, I went from top of the world to end of the bench. Yeah, he's a rookie who scored 9 points for Seton Hall. They're not going to send him out there and go fucking D up Olajuwon. You know what I mean? Like there were centers back, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Elijah. There's a lot of good centers that great footwork and fucking fadeaway jumpers from the baseline, shit like that.
They'll say Olajuwon's taking a breather. Let's get Ostertag out and put him in.
Yeah, there you go.
He's taking a breather too. Get in there.
That's it. So he said, I found my escape in weed. My weed guy that I had found my first day in Salt Lake City led me to this Mexican gang. Yes, I managed to find the only Mexican gang in this Mormon state. I arranged for the leader of the gang to bring me weed weekly and either leave it in my stash spot in my backyard or wrap it up to look like a gift or a package and leave it in my mailbox. I was getting my marijuana on schedule. I would pay him every month when I got my check. Yeah, we became real cool, and I started hanging out with him and his brothers. We had a lot in common, weed and pit bulls. That's a lot. I love dogs, and they had a bunch of pit bulls, and I would just hang out with them and smoke and laugh. Once we started hanging out, I had access to all the weed I could smoke. I introduced them to blunts. They had been rolling their weed in Easy Wider paper, and I showed them how to take a Philly cigar and make a blunt, which was 90s New York. I mean, that was everything.
Very 1997.
You could pop. I could do that shit in my sleep with my fingers. Yeah, it's easy. They never looked back at the corny joint after that. Those were my peoples.
The corny-ass zigzag.
Corny-ass
so
zigzag.
tiny.
Jesus. I would go with my Mexican gang to pawn shops and buy .357 Magnums, shotguns, and rifles. We would go to the range, shoot guns, smoke weed, chase women, and party. I think I spent more time with them than I did practicing basketball. Well,
that's bad.
That's bad, yeah. Basketball was where I felt the least at home at this point. I felt all over again like that Prop 48 player in college who couldn't play because of his grades.
Yeah, so you're telling me having fun is more fun than work? That's crazy.
Weird, right? Work, they pay you millions of dollars. They expect you to work hard? Isn't that weird? Strange.
They expect you just to sit around at the United Center shooting
fucking
guns.
Off. Yeah.
Delta Center? What's in Salt Lake?
Yeah, Delta Center. There you go.
Delta Center.
He said, the coach wasn't feeling me. My teammates were frustrated with me, and I felt a lot of them had given up on me. I wanted out. He's there for like a month, by the way.
He wants out. Dude, he cannot commit to shit.
Nope. He runs away. When there's a problem, first instinct, run away. We lost to the Rockets, and Coach Sloan tried to blame me for the loss, saying that all of it was a big distraction. No, Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler just busted your ass, is what Luther says.
And Kenny Smith.
Yeah, they won the championship that year.
Yeah.
They're a fucking great team. You're going to blame the guy who plays 4 minutes a game for your loss? Get the fuck out of here.
The starting five is incredible.
What was Karl Malone doing? Ask him, besides fucking 13-year-olds.
Right. Blame him. He said, when we got back from the road trip, I decided to stage a protest. Oh?
If the Jazz were going to keep treating me like this, keeping me in the doghouse, fining me for dumb stuff and not playing me, I was through with them. I stopped going to practice and team meetings, and I just hung out with my peoples.
What are you talking about?
Can't do that. I was with my Mexican gang for days. I even missed a game.
What?
I got a room at a hotel. I watched the game on television from my hotel room. My attitude was, fuck the Jazz. Utah can kiss my black ass. I say that every time we land in Salt Lake City. The first thing I say, Utah can kiss my black ass. And then they fucking go in.
How does he think? There's only 12 people here that are wearing a Jazz jersey. How does he think that one not showing up will go unnoticed? Like
the one who's the tallest, by the way.
Yeah.
The largest
The biggest
of everyone.
one on the team isn't here.
Not here. He said, I felt like the man with them, meaning the gang people.
Yeah.
On the Utah Jazz, I was the rookie, nobody. I was nothing. Yeah, because you got to work your way into it. That's how basketball works. With my Mexican gang, I was important. I was the OG. It felt good. I was in a comfort zone around these guys because I didn't have to be perfect and I didn't have to live up to anything. Okay, now. There's an incident here happens. It's one of the craziest incidents ever. Let's hear the newspaper account of it and the public account, and then let's hear his version of it.
Great.
Okay. January 24th, 1994. This is his first, what's called a manic episode.
Oh?
He has a real Alonzo Spellman moment here where he just
Really?
fucking snaps. Police found him. This is the end result. They found him at a highway rest area banging garbage cans and punching in car windows with a 5-foot stick. By the way, he has no fucking clothes on either while he's doing this.
He is nude, smashing strangers' windows.
7'2", 300 pounds, giant man.
Oh, my God.
So the headline is Utah's top draft pick arrested. Okay. They said Luther Wright, number 1 draft pick of the Jazz, told Salt Lake City, Utah deputies that he was high on Ritalin and marijuana when he was arrested at a highway rest stop. He was jailed for 12 hours, then released. The county sheriff's sergeant, Joe Bradshaw, said a deputy patrolling Interstate 80 about 14 miles from Toole and 15 miles west of Salt Lake City was waved down by a motorist at about 4 a.m. But this is the middle of the night, too. When the deputy stopped, he saw a man waving his arms with a 5-foot-long stick in one hand and what appeared to be a leg brace in the other.
Oh, boy.
Wright started running toward the patrol car, still waving the objects in his hand. The deputy pulled his pistol and yelled at Wright to stop and to lie on the ground face down. So the deputy...
I can't do that. My dick's out.
I don't know if he was naked here or that's a different one. I don't think he's naked right here. The deputy handcuffed him, searched him, because there wouldn't be anything to search if he was naked.
Right. Yeah.
And took him back to his patrol car. Wright was taken to the county jail and cited for disorderly conduct. The director of operations of the Jazz, Scott Layden, said that the center had an adverse reaction to a prescription medication on Sunday, which he'd been taking for the first time that morning.
Okay, yeah, that's a super adverse reaction.
He just took medicine, and now they'll adjust it, and it'll be fine. Although he was causing a disturbance, he didn't make threats to anyone, they said. He was just fucking up property and shit. Okay. So they post the bond. Deputies questioned 2 people who were inside a sedan at the rest stop. The occupants said they'd been driving in the sedan when they pulled into the rest stop and started freaking out he started freaking out, Wright did, because the Ritalin was taking, is what he said. So the guy in the sedan said that Wright broke their windshield with his fist.
Wow.
He's a fucking giant guy. Then punched dents in the roof of the sedan.
Oh, my.
He did like fucking King Kong is outside.
Yeah.
Fucking, Godzilla is out here smashing. Right. Wow. He said Wright also had thrown the ignition key somewhere out in the weeds. He reached in and took the key and threw it in the...
Oh, no.
Yeah, you can't even get away. So this guy in the sedan had a prosthetic aid, according to that. That's the brace that he was swinging.
Leg?
He had this guy's prosthetic.
No.
He took his leg and his keys and ran away. Wow. That is some shit here. The Jazz representatives picked up Wright. They said he offered to give them what he assumed was Wright's knee brace, and they just said they didn't want it. It wasn't theirs. So it's somebody else's. The Jazz guy said, "Our first concern is for the person, and we deal with it from there. He is under a physician's care, and we'll see what it brings." So he was suspended for a December 4th game for violating team rules and fined for missing a team flight to Minnesota December 14th and missing the home game. He missed a home game against Seattle. That's the game he took off for.
He's missed several games.
His version of it is this.
Yeah.
He's hanging with the gangbangers, and he said, "They may have known I was a ball player, but it never came up. They loved hanging with Lou B because I was fun. I knew how to party, and I liked to get high, just as they did. And I had more in common with them than I did with my teammates. As my disappearance turned into days, people were now worried and looking for me. I told only one person, my stepbrother, where I was. He eventually told my stepfather, the snitch. Numa came and got me and drove me back home. He took the air out of the tires of my truck and thought that would keep me there. He's like, you're not going anywhere. I'll fucking flatten your tires."
So what did he do?
I called my Mexican posse and they picked me up. We went back to their spot and smoked. I started bugging. I asked the Mexicans to drive me to Houston. Okay.
What? From Salt Lake?
I didn't know how many hundreds of miles away it was. I just knew I wanted to go to Houston. What would I do when I got there? I would go talk to the coaches and management of the Rockets and ask them to trade for me. Hi.
You guys, I'm on PCP.
If you'd like, hold on. I got to go outside. I got a car full of Mexican gangbangers that drove me here. I'll be right back.
Baby Joker gave me a ride.
I thought I could convince them that I would be a great addition to their squad.
Yeah, their championship team. They don't need you.
They don't need you. I don't know why I didn't just call Sal and ask him to negotiate something. That's his agent. That's the proper avenue. Right. I didn't understand how things worked, obviously. More than being high and out of my mind, I was ignorant. I thought if I made enough trouble, Utah would want to get rid of me and could convince some team, and I could convince some team myself to let me play for them. Oof.
Arliss is on TV right now. You should watch that show, bud.
You should understand a lot here. Wow. I was determined to get to Houston and that my Mexican friends would take me, but they said no. This was our first real disagreement. They didn't want to drive a fucking 70-hour round trip. My boys were trying to talk me out of it. That's when I lost it. They had this big hoopty. I don't remember the make or model. I just remember it being old and big. What I didn't know at the time was that their big hoopty had an industrial-sized green bag full of weed in the trunk. They weren't going to Houston, not because they thought it was a bad idea. They weren't driving across state lines with a trunk full of weed and risk getting arrested. I know they were down for me, but I was asking too much. I was yelling and screaming at them to take me. I got into a fight with one of their uncles who was trying to stop me. I grabbed his leg and it came off. I forgot he had a prosthetic leg, and I used his leg to smash out the windows of the car. So that's the person they talked to, was actually the uncle of, I grabbed the keys out of their ignition and threw them across a field toward the Great Salt Lake. Then I started to walk. If they weren't going to drive me to Houston, I was going to walk there.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Now, it was the middle of the night. It was pitch black. We're in the middle of nowhere. It was cold outside, but I'm hot. So I took off my shirt, and I guess that's where the naked stories got started, and I started walking. It's December in Utah.
Yeah.
I ended up in this empty lot. It was so dark I couldn't see my hands in front of my face. I came across a dumpster. I was lost. So I figured if I made some noise, someone would find me. Jesus Christ. Oh, man, I started pushing and lifting this heavy dumpster and letting it drop. It sure did make a racket. I did this about 10 times. Then I heard what sounded like tires rolling over gravel, but I couldn't see where the sound was coming from until it got close to me. It was a state trooper who didn't turn on his lights. I heard the ding, ding, ding when he opened his door and got out. Put your hands over your head, he barked at me. Heck, I couldn't see my hands, but I knew he was pointing a gun at me. I could feel that. I put my hands over my head, and the next thing I felt were cuffs going on. I was under arrest. Backup came shortly after. They didn't bother my Mexican friends. It took them a while to find their keys, so they were still there. I told the cops they had nothing to do with it. Thank God for them, the cops never searched their car. They didn't smell a trunk full of weed also, which is hilarious.
Yeah, right. That's hilarious.
I was hauled down to the police station. Larry Miller, the owner of the Jazz, came and bailed me out.
Is that right?
Wow. I went from jail to the psych ward, where I stayed for a few months under evaluation.
Okay, his story doesn't make any sense, because if the end of it is, and then they put me in the psych ward for 4 months.
Yeah. He didn't.
You can't explain this away.
I think his recollection of this is like
way off.
He was on another planet mentally, I think. He said, I was diagnosed with a range of mental illnesses ranging from manic depression to bipolar disease, from ADHD to ADHD, or ADD to ADHD. I was committed for a couple months. Then I was shipped back to my home in Utah.
Wow.
Now people were laughing at me, and I was known as this crazy person. Every newspaper article was now talking about me negatively, not covering my basketball play anymore. My mother must have sensed something was up, because she came into my room to check on me, something she rarely did. She would usually give me my space, but this day she came in my room and found me in bed with those empty pill bottles and called 911.
Uh-oh.
I was rushed to the hospital and my stomach pumped. That was very, very painful. Then I was shipped back to the mental hospital for another month sentence. He tried to kill himself with pills.
All right.
So he goes back to Jersey after this.
Yep.
And he says, the first few weeks back in Jersey, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to do anything. I must have slept for 2 weeks straight. All I did was lie around the house smoking weed. My mother started in on me to get out of the house and do something. So I did. I left the house and started getting high for real. I started smoking coke heavily. Why don't you get out? Why don't you get out and do something? Okay, sure. Not what I had in mind.
I'm
smoke more
gonna
crack.
Crack it up today, since you need me out of the house.
Holy shit. I lived in a neighborhood where it was easy to find drugs. If you wanted to get something, everyone knew where to go. That was easy. And finding people to smoke it with, that was easy too. Finding places to smoke, easy. You could even get a crack pipe from the local bodega. It was that easy. Every fucking shitty convenience store in Phoenix sells crack pipes, all of them.
Every 7-Eleven.
All of them. So it was all too easy for me to smoke coke every day.
Uh-huh.
Smoking made me feel a whole lot better, I bet. The weed made me sleep. The coke made me numb. While I was doing it, I didn't think about anything but feeling that high. As he's been looking for the right plug-in. He's been looking for that thing that sings, that angels sing when he does it. And he finally found it now.
The match, the perfect fucking filling.
All of the medication they prescribed was adding to the crazy, because you're not supposed to smoke fucking crack while you take mental meds. That's why. Those are way different things.
Yeah,
wow.
They don't say avoid illicit heavy narcotics while taking Lexapro.
Yeah.
Because they don't think you'll ever do it.
That would be crazy to do that. Yeah. It had me putting on weight, and the combination of the 10 pills with the weed and the cocaine wasn't good. I was mixing the prescription drugs with illegal drugs. Oh, I hear
10
this all.
psych meds?
Yeah, 10 he's on. 10. And crack.
Jesus. Yeah.
10 psych meds and crack. Wow. I hear this all the time. You were an athlete. How could you use drugs? It's complicated. I can't even say that I understand it myself. I tried drugs for the first time, partly to fit in, partly due to peer pressure, but a big part was curiosity. You wonder, what will happen if you do it? Will it affect you? Will you get really high? And what will you feel like? You also think that you're different, that you're special, that somehow it won't have the same impact on you. All athletes say that. Yeah. Thought I was special. But cocaine was beyond social. The bond there was hard to break. By the time I graduated to crack, it was a wrap. I wasn't thinking about anything or anyone. It was just that crack and me. And when I didn't have crack, all I was thinking about was how I was going to get some. Crack came before everything else in my life.
Yes.
That is fucking
That's
crazy.
That's what those addictions do.
That's it. So a couple days later, after the first incident, they put him on injured reserve is what the Jazz do.
Yeah.
They put him, that's it. Put him on injured reserve. His agent said that he apparently experienced a reaction to the medications and blah, 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 blah. So everything's all good here. The agent said he's going to figure out his dosage and everything like that. And,
it'll be fine.
Yeah, this could happen with Ritalin. It's just, you never know how your body's going to happen here. So 2 months later, actually, February 7th, 1994, this is from the newspaper, Wright in fierce fight with manic depressive illness. They talk all about it. They talk about now he's doing a lot better. He's speaking clearly. He's telling his agent he's on the way back. He's going to do much better now. He's good now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. The agent said, this obviously isn't our primary concern, but Luther is already talking about basketball. Karl Malone was in his room for 5 hours over the weekend, and he told Luther, don't worry, young fella, I'll take you under my wing. That's great therapy for Luther. No, that's the last guy we want around Luther. He's going to molest him, for Christ's sake. He's gonna get him pregnant somehow. I don't know how, but Karl Malone's going to impregnate Luther, and I'm worried about it.
The last person under his wing was doing way worse.
That's fucking amazing. So his agent said Luther's attitude has been on an upswing going into that night. Then Jerry got on him pretty good. That's the coach, which is his right as a coach. Then Luther comes home saying, I messed up again, and he feels bad about it. He had a fall from grace. Yeah, we did grace already.
Sure did.
Thanks for reminding us. Yeah. He accidentally takes too much Ritalin the next day, and his reaction is a classic case of Ritalin overdose. If you or I had taken too much of the drug, maybe we wake up the next morning with a bad headache. But Luther had these disorders, and he was in a fragile psychological state to begin with. One doctor told me, this is a huge load of bullshit, One doctor told me if Luther had committed a murder that night, he couldn't have been convicted. I think we know better than that. We've done that a few times.
Good.
Yep. They asked the agent why Ritalin wasn't detected in Wright's system then when they tested him.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm no toxicologist. This is Sal DeFazio. Goes, hey, listen, I ain't no toxicologist, but doctors told me Ritalin metabolizes out of your system in 4 hours. Then they told me what metabolizes mean, and I was like, okay, that's good, because I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about.
Then they told me how long 4 hours is.
And I thought about that. The first urine specimen Luther gave was on that Monday, and he took his last tablet Sunday afternoon. His mother was there when he took the medicine, so we're sure of the overdose occurred. That's it. He said that he remained in a manic state more than a week, at which time he reportedly called 911 5 times and struck up a friendship with a police dispatcher he called so many times.
What? He called the police so many times.
Yeah, they knew him.
Made friends with the dispatcher.
Yep. He wanted a couple of undercover cops to take him out of there, and I told him we couldn't do that, said the dispatcher. He said, do you mind if I call you Auntie May? I said, of course not. He was lonely, and he didn't want to be there. And that's his mom's name, by the way.
Yeah, right.
He wanted a mom. So, they said on Tuesday morning, though, DeFazio said it was like the light was turned back on with this fucking guy. I'll tell you what. He said he's ready. He could be back as early as next week. Everything's wonderful. He said at first Luther was embarrassed and humiliated by what happened, even though he had no control over it. He's very positive now. He told me he wants to get better. He told me he wants to get helped. All right. February 11th, 1994, in the hospital again. Back in the hospital again.
Mental hospital or regular hospital?
Mental hospital.
Okay.
All of his hospitalizations will be for the mental variety.
It's the mental kind.
Well, till later. Anyway. He said that he vowed to stay away from late night truck stops, quit eating so much, and not miss any more practices. That's what he said.
Very basic things.
Very basic. He played 15 games that year, started 2, played 6.1 minutes per game.
Truck stops really getting in the way.
1.3 points, 0.7 rebounds, 0.0 assists.
God damn it, Stuckies.
And that's his entire career. It's over.
What?
That's his whole basketball career. It's all
Loves
over.
and Pilots and Stuckies all got in the way.
His career high for a game in blocks is 1. Yeah. That's his career high. His career high point total, 4.
Yeah.
One night he scored 4. Yep. After the season, he entered a mental institution again.
Yeah.
6 months later, he was fucking out of basketball and everything, going back to New Jersey, and his brother remained to try to sell his house in Utah.
Yeah.
Yep. In New Jersey, people who thought he was a hero are now telling him he was a failure, he said.
Yeah.
He said, I started running hard from my past and using drugs and the alcohol to ease the pain. It didn't work.
Oh, my God.
Now, the money, because he has a 5-year contract.
Right.
Utah
Does he
drops
owe
him.
them $4 million?
No, it's a guaranteed contract. So they end up, rather than paying it to him right away, they end up deferring it out for 25 years. So he just gets checks every fucking month for the next 25 years.
No.
Which is the worst thing for this guy.
Yeah, because he's going to just count on those.
Yeah. He said about his money, I would have smoked it all up in less than a year if not for Sal. My family would definitely have spent it up if I didn't, and I don't think they didn't try. Instead, I get a check every month like an annuity, which was still going on when he wrote the book in 2010. Sal was my agent, my broker, my bank teller, my friend. Unfortunately, after I left Utah, my mother stepped in and took power of attorney over my affairs. She had control over all my money and made a mess of it, as if she had graduated from Howard, Harvard, or the Wharton School of Business. I love you, Mom, but you know, all the things Sal put into place for me, she single-handedly undid.
Okay.
She somehow managed to borrow against the lump sum that I would be drawing on for 25 years, decreasing my monthly payments from around $15,000 a month, which you could very easily live off of, to just over $1,000 a month.
She leveraged $15,000 to she made $14,000 bill payments per month. Holy shit!
I went from living comfortably for the rest of my life to seeing it all fade away. Of course, I played a major role in all of that because because it wasn't just of the breakdown mentally; it was the drug abuse.
Oh my God!
Jesus Christ! So, so he's in the newspaper again, June 26th, 1994. They're talking about him, saying that one guy said, I also wrote that Luther Wright's talent was underwhelming, but some poor team would still take him in the first round. Well, Utah drafted him, and if you dare ask Coach Jerry Sloan what he thought of Wright, make sure the streams of pointed and profane words don't bother you.
Oh.
Yeah. July 20th.
Sloan hates him.
Hates him, yeah. Oh, he does not treating him well at all. July 29th, 1994, Luther back in right mood swing. I hate the way they do that with him all the time. He's doing great. He said, I don't want to dwell on what happened, but I remember one thing about that night. I got arrested and I was scared. That saved me. It was better that it happened early in my career. The man upstairs knows something was wrong with me, and he wanted that to come out so I could get better. Unfortunately, that's not what happened, though, as we'll talk about. Not at all what happened. So he said, I didn't know I had a problem. I thought, okay, I got arrested. I'm in trouble. I'll have negative press for a few days, and I'll deal with that. But I didn't know I had manic depression and would have to deal with my mental health. I didn't believe that at first. You don't feel any differently. If you look at me now, I don't look any different. You couldn't tell I had a problem. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, a lot of times people get off of drugs and get the right help, and they don't appear to have ever had a problem.
That's the thing.
It's kind of the thing.
He said, I take my pills every night before going to bed. It's just a part of me now. My mom has diabetes, so she has to take her insulin every day. It just becomes a part of your routine.
Yeah.
Jesus. He said, last year I had the wrong attitude about the NBA. I thought I could lay back, and I fell by the wayside. But I don't regret leaving Seton Hall. If I stayed in school and this happened, maybe I would have never been drafted. He says, I guess the man upstairs has always been watching over me. I don't know about that. So he's got a brother, Reggie, that we talked about.
Right.
And they're talking about, I guess he's a good football player. They're talking about him. Reggie lives with Luther. As long as Luther stays with the Jazz, the coaches figure Reggie, his brother, will be around. His brother's 5'9", 160 pounds, by the way.
He's going to do great.
That's ridiculous. Wow. Yeah, I guess they're a good high school team. Yeah. So this is fucking wild. Right below that, the brother in the high school team, there's a crazy, the sales, Jimmy, the sales here. Okay. There is I'll show you the fucking ad. Here we go.
Let's have a look.
It's for a cabaret sports club called Northern Exposure.
Gone fishing? What does that say?
Yep, gone fishing. This is your gone fishing with some chick in a bikini. Not even a bikini. She's in a one-piece bathing suit. Yeah. That's gone fishing. No cover charge, SLC location. Sports theater now open for Monday Night Football. Great
Northern
lunches.
Exposure. Of what? I'm not even exposed to anything. The woman is covered.
Yeah, put the word fish in there for women and great lunches. That's just weird. So, October 9th, 94, Utah's Luther on right track again. They keep the fluff piece after fluff piece after fluff piece. Just, I'm doing better now. Everything's fine now. I've been in the league for a year. I know what to expect. I'm ready to go. I'm 110%. Yeah. November 3rd, 1994, waived by the Utah Jazz. Done.
It's over.
They cut his ass, and that's that. They ate the contract, and they're going to fucking deal with it. So, November 6th, 1994, they're talking about, maybe he'll go to another team. What's going on here? They're talking about the money he made and everything like that. And Sal DeFazio, said, we couldn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. And he said, that's because you're at the toll booth with this guy. That's what he said. I don't know what that means, but it's Sal.
Look, I don't know what to tell you. You're at the dog groomer right now.
Yeah. I don't know what you got. Now, waivers ran out on Wright, meaning anyone could sign him for a $150,000 minimum deal and not be liable for picking up the Jazz's contract. So you could have had this guy just for nothing. Just take a flyer on him.
And they'll pay the money.
Nobody really has any interest at all in him. That's the thing. They think he's fucking nuts.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
Friends tried to get him help. Former Governor Richard Cody, who was a big Seton Hall booster, helped Wright get into the Essex County Hospital Center and other facilities. And Cody said, you had people talking about him getting back into shape to play basketball. I was focused on whether he had health insurance.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. November 22nd, 1994, he said he wants back in the NBA again. He can fucking do it. He said he can do it. He's coming back, and it's all good. Meanwhile, they're just trying to they're saying that he had a problem. DeFazio said he hit it at first. He tried to remain upbeat, but just like anyone else in his own mind, he had failed to succeed. So that had a big...
He's at the dry cleaners.
Yeah, they said we've had a number of offers from overseas, and we've had some inquiries from teams in the NBA. We're sorting through them, trying to figure out what place would be best for Luther, both geographically and demographically. Primarily, we got to figure out where he'll have the best opportunity to develop as a player. Meanwhile, he's smoking crack the entire time. That's the fucking main problem here.
He's using the word demographic while he's over there with a glass dick in his mouth. Jesus Christ.
By 96, no more basketball. They said he'd bounce around from place to place. He'd spend some nights at home with his mother, some nights on the streets of Irvington and Newark in the drug dens and crack houses. Oh, yeah. His friend Walker from Seton Hall remembers coming home to Jersey City from Europe where he was playing pro ball and hearing friends tell him Luther was up the hill, which is the neighborhood expression for people who went over to Essex County to hang out in crack houses.
Yeah.
He said, quote, crack came before everything else in my life. I threw away so much. I threw away the opportunity to be great, to be the one they talked about for long after I'm gone. Yeah, he said when he would use his celebrity a lot of times to borrow a few bucks from people here or there.
Christ.
When that didn't work, he would steal what he could.
Yeah.
Bicycles, small appliances, anything he could sell for crack money.
Like a crackhead.
His $15,000 monthly payments are down to just over $1,000. He would have, he would have the check mailed. He would have them mailed to a check cashing place in Newark where he would ask the owner to give him half the money at a time. He said if he took it all, he knew he would spend it in a day.
Yeah, it's over.
So he had the guy at a check cashing place be in his bank.
Oh, boy.
Wow. They checked him into rehab centers, but he would check himself out after a few nights. People arranged interventions with his family, with former teammates, with fucking pastors, anybody they could. And he would just end up making empty promises and then going out and smoking crack. Sure, you're right. Absolutely.
Unfucking real.
Yep. One of his friends said, I gave him $20 because he said he needed something to eat, but I knew he was going to take that $20 and spend it on drugs. Until he wants to make changes, we know there's nothing we can do.
He loves crack more than he loves basketball.
That's
way more.
It's
way not more. Even close.
He becomes homeless.
Yep.
Homeless. 7'2" homeless. That's wild.
$15,000 he had.
Wow. He says from his book, even when I was homeless, I would end up in a club from time to time or a local bar. It was one of the few things that connected me to something normal. Being in a club around music, around the turntables, made me forget my problems. It was almost like a drug for me. It's almost like crack.
Play Jody Watley.
Oh, man. Come on. See more CeCe Pettison.
You got any MC Light back
Come on. What do you got? I would go to a dollar store and get a rag, a bar of soap, and go to McDonald's and freshen up in their bathroom. I'd go to the laundromat, wash my clothes, or stay with a girl for a couple days and get cleaned up for a minute. Until the crack called, then I was gone.
Unbelievable. You're right, man. The best economical decision you can ever make is be fucking tall.
Yeah, it's amazing. Be very, very, very tall.
Clubs are not letting me in if I'm homeless.
And on crack? Homeless and smoking crack?
Women are not saying, come stay with me, get clean, and then when crack calls, be gone. Nobody's cool. Allowing this.
Oh, my God. Yeah, you have to be 7'2" and have a hope.
They're like, oh, come in, please.
Come on. He said, I was just using people back then. Even going to the clubs, which was definitely about the music, was also getting my buzz on for free, because they get free drinks. Yeah. I was still Luther Wright. When I came into a club, people who remembered me from back in the day would show me love. People would buy me drinks all night. Liquor, as I mentioned, was not my drug of choice, but it became a substitute when I didn't have money for crack. Bacardi 151.
Jesus.
That'll fuck you up.
Anything flammable, I'll drink it.
Yeah, it's got to be able to be set on fire and really hold a flame. I mean... I tried to stay out of sight and was low key. The only people who knew I was there were the people on the block, drug dealers and other junkies. Some local cops knew I was there too. You're 7'2". How the fuck does anyone miss you?
Every single person knew you were there.
Jesus. They too knew me from back in the day, and sometimes they would stop by and drop off clothes and food and even money. That was my spot at night. The cops he's talking about.
Yeah.
During the day, I got my hustle on. After my monthly check was done, which was usually within a week, I would go out early and start begging, nickel and diming people for money to get enough to buy a nickel of Coke, which was $5.
Nickel and diming. Literally, give me enough money to get a nickel or a dime.
Or a dime. So I would ask people for $1, 50 cents, a quarter, anything they could spare. Most people gave me $1. Some even gave me a whole $5. That was a good day. I picked a good spot. A McDonald's was on one corner, a Popeyes on the other, a Subway and a Dunkin' Donuts were right there too. I had plenty of people to hit up for cash. I knew all the managers at those spots, so I would get free food too. Some would let me sit in there and eat and enjoy my free food. Wow. He said that, he would have these little victories, such as if I could get my $5 before 10 o'clock. He would set goals. He said, I would set these little goals for myself. How much money could I get in an hour or 2 hours? I used my celebrity to get money from people. I did anything I had to do to get that money so I could get high. I would get my drugs and go back to my abandominium to get high. That's an abandoned building that he calls an abandominium. That's hilarious, Luther. Yeah. He said, I was luckier than most because I actually had steady money coming in every month. I knew I'd be able to pay for my habit. Under the contract Sal negotiated, I get a lump sum every month for 20 years. That lump sum was about $15,000 when I first got out of the league, and then we know about his mother here.
Down to 1,000,
yeah. He said, quote, when I was getting high, I just cared about getting my money and buying my drugs. I didn't have a bank account, so I had my check routed to a local furniture store in Newark that also cashed checks called the Credit Doctors. They sell furniture, too? I now know that they took a hefty fee to cash my check. When I was halfway sober, I would have them hold back half. But back then, I surrounded myself with drugs and people who did drugs. I hung out in drug areas. Drug addicts, junkies, and alcoholics were my friends. Some of them I would hit off with money or drugs at the first of the month when I got my check. I had their back. But no one could get me to stop. Nothing could either. Not even when I lost my front teeth, which came out about a year after I hit the streets.
Oh, no.
I had an infection in my gums and they had to be pulled. A person can't take care of himself on the streets. I didn't brush my teeth most days. You can't take a bath. You don't have a bed. So you're putting this wear and tear on your body. Yeah, I would say.
Losing your goddamn teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. That's not horrible. Enough, man.
No, fuck. That's not enough to stop. Front teeth. December 22nd, 2004. He'd been homeless for about 7 years now. Okay, right before Christmas, he's wandering around the city in winter without shoes.
Yep.
This is when he loses 2 toes.
Oh, Jesus. 2 toes, 2 teeth. He is falling apart, literally.
Falling apart. They're taking pieces off of him.
He's got like leprosy.
He said that he was on a crack binge at the time. His lower body, they numbed from a local anesthesia. He said he was lucid enough to hear the ping of his toes dropping from his feet into a pan.
What
he said the same sound a rock-hard piece of plastic makes when it hits metal. He said, damn, I'm thinking they just cut off my toes. Yeah.
You walked through ice barefoot.
Jesus, he's like 400 pounds almost at this time, too.
Oh, my God.
So basically, he wore size 20 shoes. So it's a hard time for him to find shoes. And when they're worn out, you don't just find 20s laying around somewhere.
Right.
So he would cut the backs off old boots or sneakers and wore them like slippers. So he'd find other shoes and he'd just cut the backs off and wear them like slippers.
Frankensteining his shoes together.
Yep. Just cut them off, and that way you can just slide your foot in. So the winter air here turned his second and third toe on his right foot black.
Yeah.
And he was so high he didn't even fucking notice.
Didn't even feel or see it.
Yep. So a few months later, a player he saw, a former Seton Hall player, was at a dinner, and he said, I've had people coming to me saying, man, I heard you was dead. I want the state to know, I want the world to know that Luther Wright is not dead. I've been saved.
I'm just missing some pieces.
That's it.
I'm all right.
The Reverend Manuel Donaldson, the assistant pastor at the Morning Star Community Christian Church, said, I put it to Luther like this. Luther, you've tried fame, fortune, drugs, women, and none of them have made you happy. Why not give God a try? So,
because I'm not in prison.
Yeah. So he stays in the hospital for 9 days. Doctors told him if he had waited a day to come in, he would have lost his whole foot probably.
Wow.
So he tries to live at his mother's apartment. He lasts 3 days there, and then on the 4th day, he just catches a bus back to where his crack is, and he goes to a crack house and buys crack and sits down and smokes it.
Oh, God.
Yep. He said right when he was smoking crack in the crack house, he felt moisture on his right foot. He pulled off his sock and saw the bandage soaked in blood. And he said he looked at the other junkies, took a deep breath, and said to myself, I'm done. He was like, I'm fucked. So he gave away the rest of his drugs and called an ambulance. It's like, I got problems.
Have this.
I'm in a crack house with no toes.
Yeah.
They stitched up his wound. They told him to stay off his foot. That's why it was bleeding, because he was supposed to stay off of it. So he stays at the hospital for 2 weeks. And, he said, quote, I was sick. I was sick of being tired and homeless, sick of being high. So he checked himself into rehab, and he was trying to make that shit work, make some rehab work here. So anyway, his version of it is this. Couple days before Christmas, but that didn't mean a thing to me. Christmas, birthdays, no holidays had anything for me. My days were spent with one thing on my mind, getting high.
Motherfucking crack.
Motherfucking crack. I was annoyed that I had this issue that I couldn't ignore any longer. The pain was so bad when I made my way down to the hospital the first time. I don't know how I did it, but I made it. I didn't have on a shoe. I had a sock or a makeshift sock out of paper towels or rags or whatever I could get to wrap around my foot, which was pretty numb and stinking.
Ew.
When I got to the hospital, though, they acted as if they didn't want to treat me and that nothing was seriously wrong. They gave me some painkillers and I kept moving. But in a few days, things started getting worse. I noticed my toes had turned black and they were starting to smell. I could hardly walk and the pain was so bad I couldn't take it. I had been on the streets on and off for 7 years at this point. This was my new court. This was my new life, smoking crack, stealing, begging for money to buy crack, finding places to smoke crack, and enjoying the short time that I was high on crack. Oof.
Just crack.
Then it would start all over again. When I got too tired, I'd find a place to rest with my mother, a woman, or even rehab. But it wouldn't be for too long. I was more comfortable on the streets with my drug friends than I was with sober people. There was always some drama on the streets, and I somehow managed to squeeze into the back of an abandoned hatchback car on Ellis Avenue. He's 7'2". He's like living back there.
Somebody's car. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
He said, I'd been scoping it out for a few days. It was parked next to my abandonminium, which had just about caved in on my head the night before, and I needed shelter.
I'm going to climb in this Chevette.
Jesus Christ. It was getting cold, and the porch where I had been sleeping wasn't going to work. So I checked the front door. I checked the door of this car. It was unlocked, and I got in. I started smoking, and I guess sparks from the match ignited some oil or something in the back of this car. It all went up in flames.
Oh, my God.
The fire got big quickly. I don't know to this day how I got out. It happened so fast, I was just lucky. It was raining cats and dogs, and I was running up the street like a crazy man. People were looking at me like, oh, he's just high. He must have had a good one there. Look at him. Oh, man. He said the car fire was his first close call, but not his last. He said, I've been walking around in the same shoes for more than a year. They were worn out and didn't give me much support. My feet were hurting. I was wearing a size 20, but I actually wear a size 22. Jesus. I'd been wearing shoes that were too small for years because something in my mind said wearing a size 22 would make me a bigger freak than I already felt. 20's big enough.
He wears a 20-fucking-2?
22. Yeah, that's a lot.
What is it, 14 sizes bigger than me?
That's a lot, yeah. Jesus
Christ.
I could get away with squeezing my feet into expensive sneakers and shoes that would eventually mold to my feet, but not these. My feet were hurting all the time. After the car fire, I tried to make my home back on the porch of that house on Ellis Avenue. I found some blankets and I had a sleeping bag and I huddled up in the corner. I took off my shoes and put them to the side. I fell asleep on the porch, and when I woke up, one of my shoes was gone. One.
Why would you do that to this poor man?
I guess as a joke, someone came by and took one shoe. That's fucked up.
That's very funny.
So I was walking around with one shoe because I couldn't get a size 20 or 22 at the thrift store. Most of my shoes I had to special order. Yeah, totally. The shoe wasn't that important to me. Getting high was more important. I could have the shoe or not have the shoe. It didn't matter. That's how crazy my life had become. That is pretty fucking crazy. It was winter and it was getting colder and colder. I was looking for a spot to smoke. I found an abandoned truck parked on the block. Irvington's got a lot of abandoned things. I took off my one shoe and my socks. I passed out. When I came to, it felt as though my feet were frozen. I was like, oh no. I looked down and noticed that my two little toes on my right foot were blue. I kept saying, I got to go to the hospital. I went to the hospital. They looked at them, but they discharged me. I didn't have insurance or Medicaid or cash. So they put me back out on the street. I knew they weren't going to do anything for me. They wrapped my foot in some gauze and bandages, and I was good to go. Jesus Christ. And then he kept going that. That's what he said. He got to the point where he couldn't walk across the street anymore, every step he would make him scream, so that's when he went back to the hospital. Jesus Christ, what a fucking mess, man. That is horrible. So
I can't imagine.
By June 5th, 2007, there is a fluff piece on him now.
About what?
Yep, they said it's 8:15 on a recent Tuesday night, and Wright is in a groove. He's cradling his white Fender Stratocaster and has just picked up the riff of the song the Morningstar Community Christian Center Band is rehearsing. It's so loud the rehearsal could be an arena show. God is the strength of my heart. Am I pushed forever? That's what they're singing. Mm-hmm. Wright showed up 14 months ago. He had moved into a Flynn House facility in Elizabeth and went to City Hall in search of help, a job, financial assistance, anything. He ended up at the desk of a social worker named Stan Neron, and Stan was 2 years behind Wright at Elizabeth High School and listened as Wright told him the story. He said, I said to myself, this is Neron, I said to myself, this can't be true. Lou wasn't crazy. He just needed the love and to grow and to be in the right environment. So, yeah, they said that they took him in, and he seems to be,
and he's playing a concert? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, he's in the church band now.
Okay.
He's in the church band.
The amount of toes he has.
He needs a couple more toes, but they said Wright was 34 when he moved in. They got him a room for a week at the Motor Lodge on Morris Avenue.
Jesus.
And then helped him get a one-bedroom apartment in Elizabeth.
The man had $5 million.
$5 million, and plenty more to come after that if he was good, because that's when salaries really blew up.
Yep.
After the strike and everything. He said that this is the first time he'd held keys to his own house, which I don't understand because he had a mansion in Utah.
22-bedroom house.
It's weird. So Wright asked to sing and play guitar in the band, and the band director told him to hear the music and put his own feeling into it. So, yeah. Now, instead of being a guest of their homeless ministry, he now tries to minister to homeless people.
Oh.
He says, I know in my heart I'm a good person who's made several bad mistakes, and maybe I should have died. That person I was died, but this new person wants to live. So, yeah, and he meets a woman named Angie, and she's a shy hospital secretary who doesn't know shit about basketball. And, they talk about all sorts of shit, and that's like a person who's helping him a lot and doing all of that. And he ended up marrying Angie.
Oh, God.
And they settle into a kind of a comfortable life here.
Uh-huh. She created a website about lists.
That's it. And
they have millions of dollars again.
That's fucking great. She had her own list, and now everything's wonderful. Now, remember all those kids he had?
Oh, dear God.
Let's talk about those kids. Okay.
Oh, no.
This is from his book. This is hilarious. We're almost done here. This is amazing. Okay. One of the casualties of my behavior were the children I had across the country. As you know, I had a lot of girlfriends, and several of them told me I had their child. I'd been paying child support for most of them, but one of the things I wanted to do was make sure that I wasn't just meeting a financial obligation. If I had a child out there, I needed to know that child, and that the child needed to know he or she has a daddy.
Yeah.
And if I'd been paying child support for a child, I needed to make sure that child was mine also.
Yeah.
Remember the first kid, the one that made him turn pro?
Yeah, the little boy.
Quote, once we started with the paternity tests, I realized how much I was out of it. The lawyer I hired to sift through this drama made all of the women who claimed to have children by me get a paternity test. It turned into a couple of bad episodes of the Maury Povich show.
Uh-oh.
My first baby, the results were in and I was not the father.
God damn it.
He turned pro for no reason.
He should have stayed at Seton Hall in the first place.
Oh, my God. That meant for 13 years I was paying child support and taking care of a child that wasn't mine.
Another man's baby.
Wow. Not only had the mother lied that this was her first child, but that baby wasn't even mine. I'd named him Luther Shaheed Wright. I gave him the name Shaheed after one of my boys that had passed away. I even had little Luther's birthday tattooed on my arm. Jesus Christ.
I got another man's baby on my arm.
Oh, no.
Named him after my dead friend.
That's amazing. Had him tattooed, not my kid. Like Lamont Sanford, I was a big dummy. Apparently your grandma let you watch Sanford and Son in the 70s.
God damn it, that's awesome.
I knew the mother was a liar after I found out about the other babies, but I learned that everything she told me from day one was a lie. She told me she was in the service. That was a lie. She told me she wasn't in the service anymore because she was run over by a tank.
She stole valor.
Did she have a flat yet 4 foot wide leg? Because that would what it would look like. Very flat but super wide leg. You would come on, man.
Have you ever seen Spaceballs when Ralph's leg? His name was Barf. When Barf's foot gets run over, does it look like that? Does her foot splatter out the side of shoes?
Oh, that was a lie. No shit. She said her spleen got crushed and she couldn't have kids. That was a lie.
Yeah, because the doctor didn't want to see her like this anymore.
No, they're like, geez, no more of you here. I felt that I wasted my time, energy, and a lot of money, not to mention a tattoo.
Oh, man.
I never thought about DNA. The type of man I am, if I was sleeping with you and you said you were having a baby, then I was the father. That was it.
Yeah.
That's not how the world works. When I found out that Luther Jr. wasn't my child, Miss X, as I will call her, didn't apologize. She didn't say, let me pay you back for all the money you gave me over the years. She had that little boy cussing me out and writing me letters, calling me all kinds of names and a deadbeat dad.
What?
You'd be like, you're not my kid, motherfucker. And I was never his father, and she knew it all along. I understand it from his standpoint. I understand his pain and anger. He thought I was his daddy, and I wasn't there for him. But I can't pretend. He's not my kid. Well, I feel bad for him. I can't be something to him that I'm not. He has to take that up with his mother.
Call your mom, dude.
We're
not related.
I just have nothing to do with you. I had another girlfriend from Jersey City whom I was with on and off. I went to grammar school with her, and we had known each other for a long time. We got together when I came back from Utah. I was out of the pros and smoking a lot of weed and dipping and dabbing with cocaine. She came to me and told me she was pregnant. Once again, I was there for the whole thing. I moved in with her. I changed diapers. I took care of the baby. That's the one where he just took off one day. But the DNA test came back, and the results were in, and I was not the father again. Now he doesn't. So don't feel bad about running away.
No.
She deserved that. That's why she stopped calling you after a while. She's like, well, he might have figured it out.
Did he figure it out?
The first one took the sting off it. I was prepared this time. Oh, well, that baby had been named Jeremiah Wright. What a name, right? I don't have any contacts with these women or the kids now.
Wow.
So, I mean, Jesus, you got to feel bad for him, honestly, a little. He's had a fucking wild life, and his toes are gone, and I feel bad for also his babies that aren't his babies that have. Right. It's a fucking mess. I feel bad for all these people, Jimmy, but not nearly as bad as I feel for Luther Wright Jr.
Oh God,
executive director of resort at Hilton Head Island Beach and Tennis Resort in South Carolina. Yep. Not bad down there. We got Luther Wright, senior software engineer at Bandwidth Inc. in New York. He went to college and all that. And Luther Wright attended the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and I don't know where he works now, but he was wearing a Howie Long Raiders jersey in his picture.
He's probably a crackhead.
Yeah, I think security guard. He's been a security guard for 7 years.
All right.
So those are your mistaken identities, a bunch of, and there's a lot. There's a doctor, Luther Wright Jr. doctor. There's a whole bunch of people here, MD. So 2010, like I said, he does his book signings and, you know. Yeah, everybody, the one social worker said that when he would walk around with him, everybody thought he had a bodyguard, like a new guy who's a bodyguard. So May 19th, 2021, NewJersey.com, NJ.com, they do a Let's Find Luther. And Luther is in, I guess, Augusta, Georgia. This is how they put it. I open the creaky aluminum door and step onto a screened-in front porch of a single-story brick house. A red and yellow cozy coupe toy car sits in the corner. That's the first sign that this is the latest stop on a years-long wild goose chase. 2 wires stick out in place of a doorbell, so I rap my knuckles 3 times on the storm door. An old white woman cracks it open and looks at me through squinted eyes. And before I can say a word, I know I'm wasting my time. I had searched train stations in Newark, homeless shelters in Irvington, gymnasiums in Elizabeth. I heard he was sleeping in an abandoned house on a park bench in the lobby of a Dunkin' Donuts on one cold winter morning. I even cruised the streets of Essex County with an off-duty detective in the dead of night looking for any sign of a legend who had disappeared in plain sight. Luther Wright. Jesus Christ, man. He, instead of becoming Shaquille O'Neal, became another example of what happens when an athlete can't harness his potential and overcome personal demons. Yeah. So this lady, he knocked on her door and he said, "I'm so sorry to bother you, ma'am. I'm not sure if I have the right address. I'm trying to find Luther Wright." And he said, and that's where it seemed headed, too. Wright, a Seton Hall star, seemed like he had peace, he had a home, he had a family. He turned his passion for music into a DJing gig and even helped write a book about his life. Then he abandoned it all. All that good stuff he did. Yep. Disappearing back into a life on the streets and leaving his friends in the basketball community, worried that the next time they saw his name, it would be in a death notice.
Right.
Oh, my God. They said he would resurface here and there, usually looking for a few bucks until those unexpected encounters stopped last fall. No one, it seemed, knew where the guy had gone. Who, the old woman says through the cracked door before her eyes wide with a flash of recognition, and I could feel the hair on the back of my neck stand up. "Oh, yeah, Luther. Check around back," she says.
Oh, boy.
I leave the porch and walk under a carport to a small cinder block building that was hidden from view from the street. Again, there's no doorbell, so I rap gently. A woman's angry voice cries out, asking who I was and what I wanted, but before I could answer, the door opens. A hulking figure with a cigarette burnt down to the filter clinched between his meaty fingers stands in front of me. "Luther," I blurt out before I can even introduce myself. "You have no idea how many people are looking for you." He's living in the back of some lady's house in Augusta somewhere.
Smoking cigarettes down to the filter.
Not a good sign. She said he welcomes me into a cluttered living room before retaking his spot on a sofa that looks like it belongs in a dollhouse with him sitting on it.
Yeah.
Few people on earth will ever encounter someone as big as Luther Wright, and it isn't just because of his height. He's built more like an offensive lineman than a basketball player these days, with his belly hanging over the waist of his gym shorts. This, his friends have told me, is a positive sign. When he's fat, it means he's doing good.
Yeah.
That's how some of them put it. Yeah, his crackheads aren't fat
cracked
usually.
Out. Yeah.
Yeah. Luther tends to lose a lot of weight and lose a lot of it when he's using drugs. We haven't even finished exchanging pleasantries when he catches me staring at his feet. They're covered in white athletic socks pulled high over his massive calves, but they are flat and thick like the end of a sledgehammer. "They cut my toes off," he explains before I can ask. "I caught MRSA. I don't even know how I caught it. It was eating my feet, eating my toes, and they couldn't save them. I have to be mindful that I don't have the balance I used to have without my toes."
They got them all?
Not all of them, I guess, but a bunch of them. Yeah, he had MRSA, so I think he's...
Oh, my God. He should have cut them all off. Maybe he could fit into a 19.
Yeah, that's there. You could fucking definitely find shoes. So they said that that's where I steered the conversation as he put out his cigarette to better times, when Wright seemed on a path to athletic greatness. He sits up on the edge of the couch and takes 2 big gulps from a coffee mug. He's the one asking questions now. Who won the NCAA tournament? I told him Baylor. What about the women? He is surprised to hear Stanford won theirs. I don't have cable, so I don't watch much basketball anymore, he says. So, yeah, they said that, Jesus Christ, he said, I had heard that Wright was back on the streets in March 2019. When efforts to find him through friends and the basketball community failed, I enlisted the help of Jerry Ramos. He has since retired from the Irvington Police, but has gotten to know Wright during his 25 years as a detective in the city. Everyone knew Luther, he said. They knew him because he was homeless. They would need 3 sets of handcuffs before arresting him. That's the thing. He got arrested a bunch of times in here. We just don't know about it because they don't put arrests of homeless crackheads in the paper.
Yeah.
There's no way to know it.
And the cops knew who he was because they had to had to call for backup twice to get another pair of handcuffs.
More handcuffs.
Oh, my God.
Wow, they knew him because other times he'd wander into the police station at night, a smile on his face, and ask for a few bucks. Ramos offered to take me out late one night that March when Wright was more likely to be on the prowl to see if we could find him. So they checked a bunch. I heard from another cop that they saw him this morning at Dunkin' Donuts, but they didn't have any information. Nobody could find him. So this guy searched and searched and searched. They said, how the fuck did this happen? How did he end up going back to the streets? Why did he throw it all away? What the fuck is happening? And how did he end up in fucking Augusta, Georgia?
Right, in somebody's backyard.
Yep. They said Wright leans back on the couch. He knew the question was coming, and when it does, he points at the recorder I'm holding and asks me to turn it on. Not off, on. This was something he wants people back home, back in his home state, who are wondering about him to know. I'm in a good place, he said. I had to get out of Jersey. It was toxic for me. The drugs were taking me down. I couldn't find no exit from that lifestyle, the people, the drugs, the life. He said, I just decided I can't do this anymore. I can't live in this hazardous lifestyle I was living. Some people, they just can't get out of it. Some people get out, return, and die. I've been on all spectrums, all sides, life and death. I figured out that I love life a little bit more than death. You know what I'm saying? And wouldn't give any details about what drove him back to the street, except that his life began to spiral when his marriage ended. Yeah. Angie didn't work out. So he lost his DJing gig at Seton Hall games, he said, after an altercation with a security guard, and he stopped showing up at church too.
Jesus.
During recovery, he'd been active on social media, showing like pit bulls he was raising, DJ gigs, and all that kind of shit. Then in March 2016, his Twitter feed ends with a video of him taking a long hit from a pipe and saying, I had been 12 years clean. Oh, Jesus. No. Luther. That's me started severing connections from people.
Twitter.
On fucking Twitter.
Wow.
That is fucking wow. About a year and a half ago, they said Wright showed up at his friend Walker's building in Jersey City with a limp. He asked his friend what was wrong, and Wright pulled off his sneaker and his sock. Walker took one look at his foot and almost vomited. He said it was disgusting. I almost passed out. He had this big old hole in his foot. It was just infected, just horrible. I was saying to myself, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit.
You don't go septic like that. Jesus God.
Yeah. He showed up at an Elizabeth High practice for basketball, and he acted erratically, so they asked him not to come back anymore. He was spotted walking barefoot down Broad Street in Newark, loudly singing gospel music. He was caught on a video riding a motorized shopping cart until police intervened. He could really sing Nobody Knows. He could do the shit out of that one.
Yeah.
That'd be right. So he's back out on the street, in and out of hospitals. His sister saw a Facebook post ridiculing him, and she reached out to their brother. And her sister, basically, they said, you're getting the fuck out of here. He had his remaining toes amputated. No, he didn't. He didn't. He was going to. They were going to amputate his toes and didn't. And, yeah. So he said, when I walked in the door, I saw him sitting on the couch and cried, her sister said. I was so happy. I was going to take care of him. He's here with me and we're good. So then he had videos that he would do on his sister's page from shit and social media, and who the fuck knows? That's where he is now. I mean, what are you going to do?
That's the end of it, huh?
We don't know. That was 2021.
Yeah.
He's still alive, but
that's good.
I mean, that's about it. Little bit, this is funny. We'll take from his net worth here.
Yeah.
One says this: Luther Wright is one of the most popular and richest basketball player who was born on September 22nd, 1971.
It sounds like there were no other basketball players born on that day.
That's it. The only one.
Yeah.
Has a net worth of approximately $5 million, which we know that's, yeah. Then another one has his net worth of $1.6 million. He lives in a cinder block house behind an old lady.
With two toes.
With two toes. And
he has a net worth of 2 toes.
2 toes and a cigarette filter is his net worth. That's not a lot. Not a lot. So
the man's lost so much.
He's lost it all. That is Luther Wright.
Holy.
A terrible story of what could have been and what never was, and a fucking mess. Honestly, it's just a sad story.
I can't imagine.
What a wild fucking 7'2". Didn't work. So there you go, everybody. If you like that story, tell everyone about it.
Yeah.
Get on whatever app you're listening on and give us 5 stars. Say some nice things. Also, spread the word. Tell your friends. Tell whatever the fuck. I don't know. Just help out and make the show go further. Yep. So there you go. Do that. Keep hanging out with us. You definitely want to head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. All the merch is there. Tickets for live shows for Small Town Murder are going to be on sale for 2024. Yep. Come out and do that. You certainly want Patreon. Patreon.com/crimeinsports. All your bonus material.
It's all there. Yeah.
Anybody $5 a month, you get hundreds of back episodes, new ones every other week, one Crime and Sports, one Small Town Murder. This week's a little different. The only week of the year where we only put out one is Christmas because we have families and we'd like to spend time with them. My son comes from across the country. It's kind of nice. So we're going to do that. We're only going to put out one episode, but it'll be a banger. That's how we do it. Yeah. We're going to talk about The Garden, this weird alleged cult, commune, survivalist fucking... It mixes hippies with survivalist Marines, and they go in the same. It's the weirdest fucking group you're ever going to find. The only thing they have in common is that society's going to fall apart someday. So they're going to quell it. So there we go. That's patreon.com/crimeinsports. It's wild stuff. It's on HBO Max if you want to check it out there. Also, follow us on social media at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. That's where you get everything like that. By the way, with your Patreon, you also get a shout out.
Yeah.
Where Jimmie is going to fuck your name up hardcore. And you know what? I think it's about time for that, Jimmie. Jimmie, fuck up everybody's name for me. I want to hear it, and I think it'll be fun. Let's hear it right now.
This week's executive producers are Kyle Norweg, Erica Blanc, or Blank maybe, and Jordan Bennett. Thank you guys so much for everything you do.
Thank you.
Are wonderful.
Awesome.
Other producers this week are Peyton Meadows, Joanna Ryder, Tyler Frazier Music, Janice Hill, Scarlett Horbeast, and Estevez Jones on their Jacksonville honeymoon. Good for you. I don't know if they're real people. They may be joking. Jake Brown's brother Caleb passed away. He had a accidental overdose, and
that sucks.
Jake's family is. Jesus, I'm so sorry.
Jesus, sorry to hear that. That's horrible.
Hang in there, Jake. You're a good kid. Yeah. Other producers are S. Meyer. I imagine that's Seth Meyer. Tori Brock, Samantha Sennett, maybe. Jason with no last name. Jenna Kluke. Geig Malloy. What? Christine with no last name. Bianca Arter. Kelly Sachs Graustein. Jack Treffery. Chris Bowden. America Franklin, Rashid Morris, Jane with no last name, Chris Clark, Debbie Heather Shaw, Amy James, Sarai with no last name, Big Kahuna, Julia with no last name, Dame Beck, Courtney Hornsby, Reagan France, TJ Curry, Brienne Soldovsky, Robert Von Schmidley, Brandy Heimbrock, Katie W., Jess R. Howard, Melissa Green, Nathan Falk, Reese Page, Fiona Westrup Evans, Christopher Greenan, Jennifer Benign?
Benign?
Benign.
Beignet.
Possible. Karen Lapina, Morgan with no last name, Chanda Mooneyham, Avery Harper, Dustin Iakovadisi. That's not right. Anita Peterson, Anti-Peterson, Misty Stefani, Mist. Is this a typo? I don't know. Heather Oster, Nuts, hugs, not drugs. Amanda Smith, Willis Wood, Dakota Coyne, McCorkle's Bar and Grill. Oh, it's a fake Instagram account that somebody has AI'd a bunch of pictures of people eating in a restaurant at a bar and grill. It's actually very funny. Miranda Elrod, Ashley, and somebody donated in their name. Miranda, I imagine it's the person that owns the Instagram account. Ashley, Allie, Jennifer, Thibault, Thibault, Farrah Roberts, Sarah Moore. Erica Bowman, Roger Ben, Mike Morgan, Lana Emmerich, Jolene Vaughn, Chris D, Megan with no last name, Jacob Wilson, Carrie with no last name, Jessica Sheldon, Carrie Ann Heckman, Holly Rowland, Caitlin King, Andrew Farrell, Ilana Logan, Lily with no last name, Sarah with no last name, Stephanie with no last name, Ellie Wakasugi, Jared Wilson, Greg the Sound Guy, Jen Wright, Amy with no last name, LK. This show brought to you by the letters L and K. Deb Murch, Carl Toussaint, Holly Drew, Alyssa Edwards.
One of those.
Elizabeth Golden, Emily Cook, Chris with no last name, Laura Martin, Megan Wood, Toby Geisbrecht, Holiday Deese, Brian Butler, Katie with no last name, Raina McCoy, Tigger with no last name, Jen with no last name, Ash Squatch 91, Dylan Hall, Jennifer Zimmerman, Mike with no last name, Catherine Haney, M. Shuttner, Eliz with no last name, Paul Krezizkizuk, Sonia with no last name, Tommy M.F. Herrera, Abigail Tuning, motherfucking Herrera, Abigail Tuning, Herrera. Bailey with no last name, Sharon McGregor, Darren with no last name, David Hillen, Jeremy Williams, Jeff with no last name, Ralamus with no last name, Justin Main, Kim Rapinoe, Rhonda Wall, Heather Hoyle, Michi Tyson, Mickey maybe, Jessica Camps,
Mike's
Jamie
brother.
McGinnis, Andy Fields, Lauren Christie, Amelia Poole, Teresa Wishnu, Kevin Callanan, Olivia Rosler, Danny Diamond, Bobby Shutch, Brent Albert, Robert Carter, No Mama Marlia, Linda Cossack, Kristen Durkins, Jeremy Wright, Susie Grant, Sandy McGeechee, Margaret with no last name, JC, Mary Catherine Cosenza, born in the 90s, Paul Lenz, Amy Latham Moore, Rayon Watts, like the fucking fabric. Jordan Van Weston, Kaiser Jansen, Arbs, Christine Jower, Tori.
Look on your face. You're so confused.
Tori Miller, Jennifer Coons, Michael Korspisic, Christopher Coomer. Jesus. Kenny Smith, Rhonda Brodmeyer, Teresa Martin, Shady Williams, Trey Lawler, lawyer, Sean Combs, probably not that one, Jocelyn with no last name, Raquel with no last name, Clint Barnett, Dana Lauren, Rebecca Gardner, Sabrina with no last name, Nathan Rose, Bianca Sternmarker, Justin Brockway, Jessica Nichols Seymour, Alex Peterson, Amana and Paul, Ezra Coleman, not the not as great Muta.
It's a wrestler. Great
it's the not as great one.
Not as
great.
Muta.
Sarah Cole, Kelly Corbell, Autumn Perez Diaz, Robin Marie, Heather Abrams, Jamie Lynn Single, Allie Myers, Claire Stuckle, Kay Thomas, Dr. DeMarco, Demik Thompson, Damica. Catherine Paquez, Cindy G, Tay Summer, Gary Ferguson, Jamie Price, Rodrigo Alonso, Kennedy Parker, Jacob Nilson, Kevin K23, Angel Blackburn, Joe DeSalvo, Mahjong Hackensack, Bubba with no last name, Cassandra with no last name, Bobby Luck, Maddie Zero, Farrell Goblin, Tyler Archuleta, Roberta Weber maybe, Alan Nicely, Nick Lee, Rebecca Stanovich, and all of our patrons. You're fucking incredible.
Thank you so much, you wonderful sons of bitches. Thank you, Jimmy. Good job reading them this week too. Those were some tough names. He was flowing. You were flowing for a while there.
Really hard.
I'm telling you. So thank you for all that you do for us. We really, really appreciate it. We hope you love the episodes. We'll keep making them, especially the bonuses and everything like that. So keep coming back and seeing us. You want to follow us on social media as people, you can go to shutupandgivememurder.com, drop down menu, find it all. I am sick and I feel like I'm going to die. So we're going to end this right now. I feel horrible. So I'm going to go die now. And live from the Crime and Sports Studios, we will hopefully see you next week.
Maybe bye.
If you like Crime and Sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.